Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the ultimate Cleveland sports show. I'm back, baby! I know you all missed me. If you didn't, screw you! G. Bush and Mikey McNuggets are with me. We've got Earl, we've got Anthony, and Steve behind the glass. Anthony, you all right over there? You look like you've had a rough night. You okay?
You know, people in the chat have been saying I look tired for about
What is
a week
going
and a
on
half
with you?
now, and I'm pretty sure I'm just tired all the time.
All right.
I'm good. I'm going on vacation next week, so
Where are you going?
No, Columbus, but I took the whole week off.
All right.
I'm just
There you go.
relaxed.
It's his birthday. It's
That's
his birthday.
better.
So
Today's your birthday?
No,
next
next Friday is
week.
my
Yeah.
birthday.
All
Then
right.
I'm going to San Diego.
Look at you. Going to Comic-Con?
No, I'm going.
What are
I'm
you doing in San Diego? Anything
I'm
exciting?
going with my wife and my mom and dad, and they've
Well,
already.
certainly wife wouldn't let you go without her.
Oh no, she's not gonna let me go.
She ain't having that.
Yeah, but they already got it planned out.
Yeah,
They
all
already
right.
got it planned
San
out.
Diego's
You're just
beautiful.
along for the ride.
Absolutely
good?
beautiful. Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah, you gotta give me some places. I'm gonna
Yeah.
be vlogging. I'm going to
Okay.
be vlogging.
I like it.
I got cousins out there. I'll put you in touch.
All right, all right.
Mikey, what's up with you?
Another day, another dollar. Glad you're back, Bull.
Thank you.
We missed you. Trying to hold down the fort without Bull is always an interesting task because no matter how you try and replicate Bull, in a good or a bad way, there is no secondary Bull.
No.
It's just Bull.
That's damn right.
It's just Bull. So there's an
Anyway,
element
thank
to the
you.
show we miss when you're not here.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, before we
Yeah.
get into it, because we got a lot of stuff, we got to
Yeah.
talk about Bull. What happened? We got to talk about we breaking Cologne today. I told you I was not going to play.
Yeah.
GVC, a.k.a. QVC,
It's happening.
is G. Bush is in the building. This is model number 16543. It's in black and blue. Women, ladies, guys, get that. We're ready.
We got trade deadline. We got Greenbrier talk.
Stephen Hayes. Stephen Hayes is a new starters tier member. New
Shout out
starters
to
tier
Steven.
member. Shout out to Stephen.
When did we start announcing starters tier members?
Evidently just now. Starter, we're going to work our way up to the coaches tier. We're going to work our
All
way.
right.
We appreciate you guys. And,
All right, thank you.
You guys are going to want to subscribe coming up for the football season.
That's
It's going
right.
to be a lot of stuff. You want to know all the notifications when we get ready to go. Football season is now here.
Yeah.
And appreciate Steven and all of the starters tier and coaches tier members supporting UCSS.
I thought you were about to give a cologne to Steven for being a starter. That's
Oh,
how I
is he
thought
gonna get
the
a free
pivot.
cologne?
That's
No.
how I thought the pivot was going. But
Yeah.
clearly not.
Yeah, no. Well, listen, shout out to, well, since I'm already talking,
Yeah.
I might as well just keep talking. Shout out to 62 Degrees, man. People don't know. Like, so, you know me, it's just me. I'm G. Bush, right? But I also have two brothers, right? And so my brother played with me at OU, and he's an offensive lineman. They say offensive linemen are the smartest ones out of the group, right? So he became a perfumer just randomly, just by sheer, like he went and met with
Yeah.
chemists, went to different places, and he's been working on this for 10 years, started a company called 62 Degrees, and he created me my own cologne called Nocturnal, as you can see. This
Appropriate name for you.
Yes, and he drew all of this, sent it off, had it laser made. This is like a chocolate midnight smell. Got some bergamot, got some mint in there, and he did it because I don't sleep very often, as you can see. I'm in the streets early. You know, the palm trees at night is beautiful. He also has his fragrance that he came out. This is the one for 62 Degrees. This is called Pacifico right here. This is a clean linen smell, crisp. Just it smells like new sheets.
So the creativity and different things is not just you; it's your entire family.
Yes, I have an actor as
Yeah.
a cousin.
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother who is a perfumer, and he did this for 12 years, coming up with this formula. He
Yeah.
has these big, long ledgers of percentage, and he mixes it and bottles it himself. So
Yeah.
he's been working on it for about 12 years. And so shout out to him. By the way, I only got 2 working models. This is it, man. But when the fall comes, if you are interested, and you want to know more about the cologne, hit me up at gbush91 at hotmail.com, gbush91 at hotmail.com, and we can possibly put you on the waiting list.
There you go.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, what happened to you? He was like, that's the next follow-up.
Sorry. I'm a little out of rhythm. My trip was, everyone's asking me how my vacation is. I kind of got sick at the end. It wasn't a great trip. It was good to see my close friends who are like family. We saw I got to hold the new baby. I should have sent the picture. It's cute, me holding the baby.
You got to have that ready, boo.
But, I don't even know if I have it. But I'll bring it up real quick. But the last couple of days I spent in the hotel. First of all, we had rented an Airbnb in Seattle, right? And we went from Tuesday to Tuesday. So last Tuesday, we get off the plane. We get there late. By the time we get to the Airbnb, it's like 10:30 at night, which was about what we expected. So we get in. I open the door and I'm like, it smells funny in here. And my nose, I got a big nose. If you haven't noticed, I got a big nose, right? Look at that nose.
It's crazy.
I got a giant nose.
That's crazy.
My nose knows, all right? And I was like, there's something wrong. There's something off. There's a funny smell. Look at that nose. I mean, that's a big nose. So and my wife finally figured it out. It smelled like animal urine that had been cleaned up and like chemicals. I'm like, I ain't having this. The air conditioning wasn't working. I get on the phone with the guy, and I'm like, this is not good. We got to fix it, Anyway, we slept there the one night, and by the next morning, I was like, I'm out of here. I want my money back. We're going to a hotel. So we go to a hotel, and the hotel was fine. But and we did get our money back completely from Airbnb. But so that was a bad start to the trip. And then I spent the last couple of days sick. But there was a highlight. We went on a ferry. So in Seattle, they got a ton of ferries that take you to these different islands off the Seattle coast. And we went to this island. I don't remember the name of it. Doesn't matter. But we're at this restaurant, little seafood restaurant in a town on some island off of Seattle. And I'm sitting there ordering our food. And this guy at the next table, his name was Chris, goes, are you Adam the Bull? Like, you got to be kidding me.
It happens.
I'm a huge fan. He was living on this island, working at a theater, performing King Lear. You know the show King Lear?
That's crazy. How the heck is he?
He's not even from Cleveland. He's from South Carolina. I can't remember how he said, now, I'm trying to remember. I talked with him for a while, but I can't remember how he said he became a Browns fan. But he's a big Browns fan, and he's a huge fan of the show.
Shout out, Chris.
And he was a very nice guy. I talked with him. I talked with his parents. He was probably like 20s or maybe 30. And then I called G. Bush. I was like,
right.
He said he likes G. Bush. I said, all right, let's FaceTime him now.
Yeah, FaceTime.
And I said to him, listen, it's 50-50 if he's going to answer.
Let's be honest, it's 20-80.
Right,
He's
but
probably not going to answer. He has
better lately.
I told you my phone be working now.
And he didn't answer at first, but he called me right back.
I was like, I missed the call.
And we tried to, it was hard. It was loud in the restaurant.
But I told him, shout out, I appreciate it, man. If you're watching today, man, that's a beautiful thing. I would have never thought.
That was wild.
You wait in an island in Seattle, and some dude is watching us every day, man. That's crazy.
Now tops the furthest away from Ohio that we've got recognized for you. Because I had the Myrtle Beach encounter.
That's right.
Like last year at some point.
Yes.
And now you're on the West Coast, deep in Seattle.
Exactly.
That trumps Myrtle Beach by far.
Yeah, I mean, we have fans in other places, but that we've actually met in person while somewhere else, as far as we know, is an island off the coast of Seattle. So there you go. Enough about my trip because there's a lot of sports to get to. So let's get right to it with Anthony.
Yeah, guys, I just want to remind everybody that despite what some of the chat says sometimes, I do love sports. And I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer and fewer games and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to, Fanduel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want, and all I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, Fanduel is hooking up all their customers with a boost or bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Just head on over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. Fanduel, the official sportsbook betting partner of Major League Baseball.
Anthony does love sports compared to Steve, the director. I don't know if I compared to anybody else, but compared to the director, Steve. All right, let's start with baseball. We have plenty of Browns to discuss probably towards the end of the hour. Definitely the beginning of next hour. We'll get into a lot of Brown stuff, including have they been disrespected again? And I have some thoughts on Jason Lloyd's article on Deshaun Watson. I know that you guys talked about it, but Guardians make 2 trades, guys, in the 48 hours before the deadline. Obviously, you talked about Lane Thomas. I tried to watch a little. I was on the plane during the show yesterday, I think. Yeah, I got on the plane as the show was ending, but I was having a hard time with the internet at the beginning. But so you talked about that. I'll give my thoughts in a minute. But we'll start with Alex Cobb because that was the move that the Guardians made yesterday. They acquired the veteran right-handed pitcher from the Giants. And Alex Cobb has not pitched all year. He had hip surgery at the beginning of the season. So that's obviously a major concern that he hasn't pitched yet. He's thrown a number of rehab innings in the minors for the Giants and was expected to make his 2024 debut this past weekend, but then he got scratched with a blister, so they never activated him off the injured list. So the Guardians have acquired him. He is not on the active roster yet because he's still on the injured list, but will probably get activated, I would think, either maybe not this weekend, but certainly by next week to make his Guardians debut, although it's possible since he's new to the organization, maybe they give him one rehab start before one more rehab start coming off the blister before they bring him to the big leagues. We'll see, but we should see him soon. As I said, he has not pitched this year. Last year, he was an all-star for the first time. For the most part in his career, he's been a solid pitcher. I would say he's a quality number 3 starter when he's at his best, but he's coming off hip surgery and he's 36 years old, so I don't know that he's going to be at his best. He had a really good season last year, but he hasn't pitched a ton the last 2 seasons, period. So I'll give more thoughts on it, but go ahead, guys. What'd you think?
It wasn't the big splash move I think we were all hoping they'd make in terms of acquiring an arm, but it certainly has the upside to pay tremendous dividends down the playoff stretch for the Guardians. They gave up essentially nothing for him. It's a complete flyer. You throw a dart, you take that risk 100 out of 100 times. You didn't give up anything in terms of prospects, but you also can't feel confident you're 100% getting someone who can contribute to the playoff rotation in Alex Cobb when he gets back healthy, because simply he's 36, about to turn 37 in October, so he's on the back end of 36, coming off the hip surgery. He has blister issues, and who knows if that's just early season or beginning of throwing again, developed. It's probably not anything serious, but another delay in his return to the field. And if the Guardians get 2023 Alex Cobb, he's a playoff pitcher for them. You just don't know for certain you're getting 2023 Alex Cobb, and because of that, it's a high-risk, high-reward type move for the Guardians. I'm disappointed it's their only move they made on the pitching front, but I like the move in by itself.
Because of where he was at, and because he hadn't pitched all year, they pretty much got him, right? And free is always good. Now, I don't know if you want to take free food to the picnic, right? Just you can judge doing that, right? I'm not going to just pull up at the picnic with a bunch of new people like, hey, man, try this free dish I got at the side of the road. But it might be okay and it might not be okay. If it turns out that he can get back pitching, it could work for him. They didn't really need a top flight guy, but what started to happen is when you start seeing all these top flight names go off the board, you start to be like, well, why can't we get that? You start to get greedy a little bit. And so the only thing that scares me is hip injuries and anything in the lower body. It's like, all right, how is his mechanics? Is he going to have any setbacks? He hasn't pitched at all this year. I would have preferred if he did pitch since he's been out on a disabled list. And then the blisters things can be kind of rough. So there is some question marks, right? I would give it a B- somewhere along there. I mean, I'm not going to be jumping up for joy, but I will give them credit for at least trying to go out and do things within their perceived budget to get things done, right? I can't be mad at you. I can't say you didn't make no moves, but then when you make the moves, I'm like, well, it wasn't a big enough name. They perceived that they had a certain budget that they was going to spend on prospects or guys that they didn't want to move, and they didn't move any of their top name prospects to get 2 guys. And the question is, are they better with Lane and Cobb? Sure, I think they are better.
So overall, the Guardians have improved. I like what they did. I don't love what they did. I'll give them a B- for the entire trade deadline here. I think it's possible that Cobb ends up being the best pitcher traded in the last 2 months. I don't think that's out of the point of reality. The truth is, the last 2 days were exciting if you're a baseball fan, if you're a baseball transaction nerd like me. It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of trades. But the reality is there were no superstars traded. None of the best players got traded. The best pitcher that probably got traded, at least based on the season they're having this year, is Jack Flaherty. Am I disappointed the Guardians couldn't get him? Yes. Does it seem like the package the Dodgers ultimately gave up to get him when other pitchers, at least on paper, people always talk about the package you gave up and they gave up a lot. When you give up minor leaguers, you think you gave up a lot or a little. We don't know. Until the guys perform or don't in the majors, I don't know what they gave up. I know they gave up minor leaguers who have never played in the majors or whatever. I know the Guardians didn't give up any highly touted prospects. I'll be honest, I never even heard of the guy they traded for Alex Cobb. I never even heard of that guy.
He's nobody in their grand scheme of the prospect pool.
So that's fine. But supposedly the Guardians made an offer for Jack Flaherty. They felt like they made a better offer than the Dodgers did. The way that situation, there's a lot of rumblings around the league that the Tigers screwed themselves on the Jack Flaherty situation, that they were trying to rake team. Once the Kikuchi trade happened, and the industry felt like the Astros made a major overpay for Kikuchi. Once that happened, the Tigers thought they should get even more for Flaherty, which makes sense because Flaherty's better than Kikuchi. And they were holding up teams for a lot. This is what I've heard. And in the end, they were holding the bag because a lot of teams said no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. And the Dodgers were basically like, here, take it or leave it.
Right.
And listen, the reason the Cobb move is risky is not because you gave up anything.
Just
it's risky because your biggest hole was your starting pitching, and the only guy you acquired is coming off a major injury late in his career.
Hasn't pitched this year, and he's back.
That's right. Now he's pitching in the minors, and
but hasn't thrown major league innings.
Correct. Now the reports are he's looked good in the minors. Okay, that's fine. That's good. That's promising. If you had traded for a Jack Flaherty or a pitcher better than Alex Cobb, then you give the Alex Cobb grade. I give it like a B- or a C, or like a C+. I give it a C+. Because it was the only pitching move they made. If they had traded for Jack Flaherty or another good pitcher, then I would have given the Cobb move an A. Because if it was their second pitcher, then I love it. Then it's a great move because it's additional. You're now going to be relying. The hope is you want 4 starters in the playoffs. So you're hoping the 4 starters you're going to be relying on are Tanner Bybee, who's pitched a year and change, Gavin Williams, who's pitched a year and change and has missed some time with injury, Ben Lively, who's been fantastic but has never been good before this year, and Alex Cobb, who's coming off an injury. You're nervous about all of them to some degree.
It's risky.
Now, if it works, the Guardians can win it all. People saying today the Guardians can't win the World Series are stupid.
Yeah.
You're wrong. And let me tell you something else. The Yankees and Orioles also, like the Guardians, got better at the trade deadline. But like the Guardians, neither of those teams, and I know Jazz Chisholm is off to a great start for the Yankees. He's hit 4 home runs in his first 3 or 4 games, whatever, since he's been there. Nice job. He has not had a particularly great season. He didn't have a particularly great season last year. He might be sensational for the Yankees. It's a great ballpark. He's, I don't love their lineup outside of Judge and Soto, but there's sometimes guys get the... It's funny with the Yankees. There's some guys that go there and get that Yankee boost. And there's some guys that go there that can't handle playing for the Yankees. He might be one of those guys that gets kind of jazzed up, if you will, playing for the Yankees, right?
Get warmed up here, boy.
Right? Neither the Yankees or the Orioles made a move that you're like, wow, they got way better.
They didn't get Skubal. They didn't get Flaherty.
Am I going to kill the Guardians today? No. We said they had to make moves. I tweeted they got to get a starting pitcher, and 10 minutes later they traded for Alex Cobb. Was he my first choice? No. I wasn't even thinking about Alex Cobb because he'd been hurt all year. He was off my radar. I like him. I've always liked him. I think he's a good pitcher if he's healthy. If 3 or 4 starts in, he looks healthy, all good. But I would have still liked them to either get another starter or reliever and maybe even a shortstop. They should bring up Kyle Manzardo today. As for the Lane Thomas deal, I don't want to go into it too long because you've talked about it. I talked about it on the Guardian show this morning. I like that move a lot. Zach and I were talking about it. I would play him nearly every day. I'd sit him against very tough righties. He is elite against lefties. Now, he's had enough at-bats against righties that we know he's league average. Could he get better? Sure. He's still young enough. Unlike some of the other guys, the Guardians, he reminds me, he's a better version. You may remember in 2016 when the Indians went to the World Series. They acquired, obviously the big trade was Andrew Miller. Mm-hmm. But they also made a trade for a right-handed hitter named Brandon Guyer from Tampa Bay who killed lefties. Now, this guy is similar, but he's better because he does other things. He's a good defender, although his metrics are not great this year. He, I believe, has more assists in the outfield than anybody.
He's got a cannon.
He's got a cannon in the outfield.
Cannon.
He is third, I think, in the majors in stolen bases. A lot of caught stealings, too.
Aggressive, though.
But he fits what they do. They're a very aggressive team on the base.
So explain to, when you talk about all these things, why is it that, they gave up on him? Because they didn't trade a lot for him either.
Well, Alex Clemmy's a decent prospect.
He's second round pick last year.
And he's an outfielder who's a good player, not a great player.
On a bad team.
On a bad team. They were ready to move on, give some young guys. They have some young outfielders on their team. They're ready to get an opportunity. So they got a pitcher that they think, obviously they think highly of Alex Clemmy. They think he's going to be good. So we'll see.
And Jose Tena, the infielder
they got Jose Tena
is another guy that
he has some
they
potential,
like.
and they might have him up in the big leagues this year. He's been in the big leagues. So, Lane Thomas hit for a ton of power last year. The power's down. His walks are up this year. His strikeout rate is down. I think he'll be great against lefties. I like that they hit him second. When he's in the lineup, I bat him second, even against righties, even though he's not as good against righties. Like I said, I would have traded Will Brennan or Tyler Freeman and tried to get another pitcher. Overall, solid trade deadline. Not killing the team today. They did enough to keep the fans in the mix. Mm-hmm. Not enough to get us overly excited, but they didn't drop the ball. So in between.
Before the deadline, the Guardians were contenders.
Yeah.
They had the second best record in baseball. After the last 2 wins, they actually now have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
They got better with the 2 deadline acquisitions. No matter the gravity and how much better, we can debate.
Yeah.
But there's no argument the Guardians are better today than they were 48 hours ago prior to the Lane Thomas acquisition and the Alex Cobb acquisition. The Guardians are putting a lot of stock into those 2 players in particular.
Yeah.
Refining their 2023 form, where Lane Thomas hit 28 home runs,
right,
where Alex Cobb pitched at an all-star level. He tailed off towards the end of the season, but the first half of the season last year for San Francisco, he was one of the better pitchers in the National League. When you look at the proverbial power rankings in the American League, you can't mention the top 2 without putting the Guardians either 1 or 2. And you could try and talk yourself into the Yankees, but the Guardians, for what they've done through the first 110 games of the season, have solidified a spot in that top 2, and the acquisitions they made, Bull, although risky and certainly have downside if they don't pan out, put them in a better position to compete with the Baltimores, with the New Yorks, with whoever else they'll face in the playoffs than they were beforehand. So I wish they did a little more, but they did enough to satisfy the basic needs of this team needs improvements. Okay, they needed a power-hitting outfielder. Okay, you need to start a pitcher. You got it. Even if it wasn't the A-ball sky and the prize in the sky that we may have wanted, they did enough.
And unlike the Cavaliers, you do ultimate Cavs. These are the moves that you need to make to catch teams. They felt like, hey, look, we wanted to keep up with Baltimore. We want to keep up with the Yankees. And I said yesterday, look, man, the Guardians have an opportunity to move into that 2 spot in the city. And I think they did just enough to do that because they're showing me that they're conscious of fixing some of the holes and being ultra competitive and making their team better.
It'd be interesting to see the crowds. Crowds have been big. You got an awesome series this weekend against
Baltimore.
The Orioles after a day off today. 4-game week. Their schedule is really tough the rest of the way. There's going to be a lot of great games. You got a 7-game homestand, 4 against Baltimore, 3 against Arizona, which is really exciting coming up before they go to Minnesota, and then the Cubs come to town. The only team under 500 they're playing in the next, I think, all of August.
That's pivotal. And the Minnesota series is very pivotal.
They have a 6.5-game lead over both Minnesota and Kansas City right now. And as you said, Mike, the biggest concern I had going into the trade deadline was that the Yankees or Orioles would get a superstar pitcher, and neither of them did. The Yankees got a nice relief pitcher, Mark Leiter Jr. from the Cubs. I like him. Most people don't know him that well. He's under the radar. He's very good.
Chisholm was a good addition.
And Jazz Chisholm was a good addition. The Orioles added a bunch of fringe guys, kind of like the Guardians did. They added more guys like that. But they didn't add anybody great. Zach Eflin is, he's like Alex Cobb, but healthy. I mean, I think Cobb's a little better if healthy, but they're similar level. They brought in Eloy Jimenez yesterday, who at one point was a top prospect in the Cubs system, but he's been a huge bust in Chicago. He never stays healthy.
Yeah, Trevor Rogers.
They traded for Trevor Rogers. They gave up one of their better prospects for him. I don't think he's very good. So they had, and their biggest weakness also was their bullpen, and they brought in some guys, but nobody great.
Yeah, no one's going to blow you away.
So I don't think the Orioles improved that much. I did like the addition of Chisholm and Leiter for the Yankees, but listen, Power rankings don't matter. Here's the only power ranking that matters when we're 110 games into the season. Who's got the best record? That's the Guardians.
The Guardians.
They're the best team in the American League. I don't want to hear that the Orioles are better. The Guardians have a better record. And it's not even like you say, well, they're division. Okay, you play more games in your division, but it's not like it used to be where it's a huge amount. The Guardians are playing, you play every team. And by the end of the year, the Guardians will have, you look at the rest of the schedule. They have 3 games left with the White Sox.
I have their next
They have
8
none
series.
left with the Tigers. They have none left with Oakland. They're only playing 3 games against terrible teams.
These are their next 8 series. You
Yeah.
ready for this? Home versus Baltimore.
Yeah.
Home versus Arizona, who
Yeah.
made the World Series last year. Head to Minnesota. Home versus the Cubs. On the road at Milwaukee. On the road against the Yankees.
Yeah.
At home for the Rangers. At home for the Royals.
And they don't they play the Dodgers after that?
I only went the next 8. So
I
maybe
believe
even
it's the
more.
Dodgers
but
after that. Maybe they play the White Sox and then the Dodgers. Okay, the Cubs, I believe, are the only team they're playing in the next month that's under 500.
Milwaukee is above, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're first place.
Yeah.
The Cubs are the worst team there, and they're not terrible. They're just below average.
Can't hit.
So they're not playing any terrible teams the entire month of August. They're playing one not good team, and then 7 teams that are good or better. So you're going to be challenged here. I'm excited to see it. I'm very excited about this Orioles series. They beat the Orioles the last time they played them. They won that series. They just beat the Phillies in a 3-game series. They finally took care of business against a bad team with Detroit. I think there's a lot. If you're negative today, I get it. We all wanted them to do more, but nobody else did more. None of the superstar pitchers were traded, and they have the best record. And I don't know how you can be that upset today.
Yeah, I don't think you can get negative. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, people will be. People will.
well, look, yesterday they got a bat. I was thinking they was getting one person. The Guardians ain't never went and got went out and got 2-3 dudes at the trade deadline. Like that.
Not since 2016.
Not since 2016. Like, so when they got the bat, I was like, man, this might be
Call
over.
up Kyle Manzardo today.
Yeah.
Get him up here.
Yeah, I get a picture. They got an arm. It might not be the name you want, but they did what they needed to do.
I would be fascinated to know how many players of a bigger stature, whether it be Flaherty, who I do believe the Guardians were in on, or Fetty or whoever, Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff made legitimate offers for and either got outbid and/or were told, okay, we're not going to listen unless the package starts with player X. And how many guys they were actually in on but didn't feel that the value in terms of prospects they had to give up was equal to the player they were getting in return. Because, sometimes we could say, hey, go get Skubal or go get, but if Detroit's asking for your top 7 guys, you're not going to make that shit.
I would have given up anything
but
for
I'm just-
Skubal. Anything. But I don't think they were going to trade him.
You get my premise of what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just throwing out names and hypotheticals here. How many guys were they actually in on? Or did they go into this deadline saying, we're not touching our top 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. Clemmy's the best guy we're going to trade. What can we get for this, as opposed to, okay, we actually are interested in players X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But you want
I don't know that we'll ever get an answer to
we
that
won't.
question.
I'm just curious to know how they approach the
Yeah.
deadline.
And since we know now I'm transitioning. Since we know that these young guys that are on the roster that
Right.
have been playing, they're going to still continue to be here. Is it too early to start saying, okay, well, who's making? Like, I assume they're going to be in the postseason. Which one of these guys do you see snatching the lion's share of the minutes at certain positions? And is it too early to be like, who's making a postseason roster? Because they got a lot of guys. We talked about, you just said over Martinez. You got Noel, you got Schneeman, you got
4 guys for 2 infielder spots, essentially.
Right.
Schneeman, Martinez,
Rocchio.
Freeman, and Rocchio. Martinez and Freeman, I kept saying the same.
Yeah.
You got those 3 for kind of 2 spots, and then you got right field to deal with in your own right.
Right.
And then Manzardo should be called up. I 100% agree, and he needs to be getting consistent at bats. I don't
Yeah.
feel like you could kind of play him and not play him, play him and not play him.
If they call him up, he's not going to play against lefties when they call him up. This is not going to happen. But what I think they're going to do is, this is what Zach suggested this morning on the Guardian show, and I agree with him. You play Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas is going to play every game versus a lefty. He's going to play against some righties. Okay? He's going to play right field. What you do is, against the tough righties, you play either David Fry or Jockenzie Noel in right field
and
so
let Manzardo DH.
against the righties, and you have Manzardo DH.
So Will Brennan's out the mix.
Well, he's
Yeah.
in the minors. He got sent down.
Yeah.
Will Brennan's out of the mix.
Yeah.
He's out of the mix.
He's out of the mix. All right. Tyler Freeman is pretty much out of the mix. I think Angel Martinez is going to play most of the time in center field. I think they're going to live with Rocchio as the shortstop.
Arias is out of the mix.
Arias is out of the mix.
Okay.
Can Freeman play short? I know he played third last night.
Yeah, I mean,
or third 2 nights ago. I don't know.
Not really. I don't think they're going to use him there. I think Rocchio's going to play short, even with his lack of hitting. I think it's unfortunate. I think Zach and I talked about calling up Jose Tena.
They just traded him.
I mean, not Jose Tena. I just forgot their other. They got so many minor league infield.
They got 96 seconds.
I'm drawing a blank.
Bazana?
No.
Yeah.
Well, that would be great.
Thank you.
That would be great. But let's give him a little time. Anyway,
just hyping up G. Bush here.
I would call up Manzardo and I would DH him against righties right away. And then I would play, Fry's playing most of the time, obviously.
Where does Schneeman fit into this?
I think Schneeman's more of a utility guy. Yeah.
So he's going to make the postseason roster.
I would have Fry. To me, Fry, I use Fry between catcher, DH, and right field. Depending on who else I'm playing that day. I play Manzardo against most righties. I play Fry almost every day. Move him around between catcher, DH, and right field.
Well,
right? I have Bo Naylor, who does most of the catching against righties.
Well, they don't keep Hedges.
Yeah, Hedges.
Well, Hedges stays as the third catcher.
But I'm saying that in that case, Fry would be DH most often.
So you're third, right? But Hedges shouldn't start at all.
Yeah,
I wouldn't start Hedges at all, or almost never. So to me, you're going to have 13 hitters, right, for most of the way. So obviously you have Kwan, you have Martinez, you have Lane Thomas is basically your starting outfield.
Okay.
You should have Manzardo and Naylor, that's 5. Jimenez, Rocchio, 7. Ramirez and Fry is 9. Naylor and Hedges, 11. Schneeman, 12. And then who did I leave out? Freeman? There's your 13th. Oh, and
Noel.
And Jokenzie Noel.
Yeah.
That's it. I get Freeman. I move on. Freeman, I call up Manzardo. I send down Freeman because they really have. I'd rather get rid of Rocchio, but Rocchio plays a great defensive shortstop. If I'm hitting everywhere else, I can live with a weak hitting defensive shortstop, at least for this year. And that's it. And then I play Noel. He's going to play a little. Hedges will not play much. I play Noel once in a while, and I use Manzardo against righties. Okay. I sit Lane against the tough righties. You mix and match a little bit.
You have flexibility with that.
Yeah,
too.
Right, exactly.
Because Schneeman can play all the positions.
I think those are the 13 guys that are my core. Hedges stinks, but there is something apparently to him.
You got to keep him.
I would just not use. I would almost never play him, but I keep him on the roster. And there you go. And then listen, if it's the biggest if, but if Bybee, Williams, Lively, and Cobb are healthy and pitching well, and they've all pitched. Lively and Bybee have pitched very well.
Williams pitched better last
very well his last start. If Cobb can be healthy, I expect him to pitch well if he's healthy. They could win the World Series. The team is good enough because they have just enough hitting. They have the defense. They have the base running. They have the bullpen. If the starting pitching is solid, it doesn't need to be great. If it's solid, they can win the World Series. They can.
If they could get those 4 guys, I would put them. The starting pitching would be from the playoff teams. I would say the starting pitching would probably be 3rd or 4th out of the teams that would be in it. I mean, the hitting would be. I would say is probably 3rd or 4th. Bullpen is number 1,
no doubt.
Defensively, I think that they're top 1.
Defensively, number 1. Base running, number 1.
Yeah.
Bullpen, number 1. Yeah, they're not number 1 starting or hitting, but it's just got to be good enough.
Just good enough. I said yesterday, I think the Guardians bullpen is the single best unit of any unit, lineup, starting rotation, or bullpen in baseball. So out of the 90 possible units, I think the Guardians bullpen is the number 1 unit in baseball.
Maybe take the Orioles offense, but it's right there.
I'd still take the Guardians bullpen. But going back to Cobb in the playoffs, he's made 2 career playoff starts. Do you remember?
13 years ago. The first one, I was at the game. It was the wild card game against the Guardians.
And
they were
against the Indians. He pitched
He
terrific.
pitched great. The starting pitcher for the Indians that day was Danny Salazar. It was my first playoff game after moving to Cleveland. I had been here 2 years. It was electric that night at the stadium. It was great. It was a great night.
That was the play-in game, wasn't it? It was a wild card against the Rays. Didn't they lose?
They lost.
Yeah,
They lost, and he pitched again in the
Cobb pitched
divisional
great.
series
And
against
he
the Red Sox and pitched pretty
Pitched
good.
okay, but he hasn't been in the playoffs since.
It was 2013. He has
Yeah.
not pitched in the postseason in 11 years.
Yeah.
However, he's pitched a ton of games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the moment would be too big for a guy like that who just has that plethora of experience.
Yeah.
He's pitched in the bigs now for 12 seasons. Like, he is no stranger to big moments and big playoff runs.
I'm not worried
and
about
such.
him.
Yeah.
He's
I'm
a
not worried either.
grinder. He's a grinder. He'll be fine. As in terms of the way they played on the field, they had been playing lousy for a few weeks. Nice these last 5 days.
Nice bounce back.
They took 2 or 3 from the Phillies. They swept the Tigers. Overall, they've won 6 of 8. So they seem to be right in the ship. They've been hitting better lately. They need the
Jose.
Problem was that all their superstars went into a slump. It was the first time all season for a few weeks there that all their best hitter, I shouldn't say all the superstars. They have one superstar, Jose Ramirez. They have 2 other legitimate all-stars in Quan and Naylor, and then Fry, who was an all-star this year. All 4 of them were not playing well. Quan's batting average went down.
He doesn't even lead the league anymore.
Nope. Bobby Witt, Bobby Witt Jr. has been great. But I expect them all to bounce back. I expect them all to pitch well, hit well, and hopefully we're going to have a big stretch run. We got 55 games left, I think. I believe the Guardians have to go, I think it's 55 games left. They have to go 35-20 to win 100 games. That's not easy, but they played better than that this year.
And at that
35-20 to win 100
At one point in
games.
time, I had them like for winning like 103, 104 games.
Yeah.
Like
I think they're going to win between 97 and 100. By the way, bring that graphic up for a second, because this is a little stat people may or may not care about, but I'll share it with you. The Chicago White Sox have a chance to have the worst record in the modern era of Major League Baseball. So forget the turn of the century, all that nonsense early. Teams were in and out of the league. Since we've gone to a 162-game schedule, right, the modern era, the worst record ever in one season was the expansion 1962 Mets. Now, for some reason, they only played 160 games that year instead of 162. But the 1962, remember, there was an expansion team. They went 40-120, worst winning percentage in the modern era of Major League Baseball. The White Sox are 27-83. So they have to win 41 games to avoid having the worst winning percentage in the modern era of baseball. They have played 110 games. That means they have 52 games left. So to avoid that, they have to go 14-36, which means they have to win about a third of their games. I don't think they're going to do that.
That's crazy.
They have lost 16 in a row and 19 of 20.
I saw a stat.
I think they're going to be the first team in the modern era to not win 40 games.
It's absurd.
Crazy.
They haven't won in almost 3 weeks now. Like 3 weeks of real time.
Why didn't you just do the same thing with Fanduel with the A's you did with the White Sox this year?
Well, that's true. You
I
should know
should have. Yeah.
Remember I think it was July 3rd, the White Sox beat the Guardians. Eric Fetty pitched for the White Sox.
Yep.
The White Sox have won 2 games since then. 2 games since July 3rd. That's 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's absurd.
So anyway, but there were some other teams at the trade deadline that did some weird things. The Cubs kind of did an old Guardians move of buying and selling.
At the same time.
I don't know why the Rockies didn't, why didn't the Rockies trade Cal Quantrill? He's a free agent. I don't understand what they're doing. I don't understand why the A's didn't trade Brent Rooker. I don't know what they're doing, but anyway, there you go. But good 4 out of 5 and 6 out of 8 for the Guardians.
One last thing on
Exciting series with the Orioles. Can't
on the
wait.
game last night.
Yeah.
I know it's 2 starts against Detroit.
Yeah.
And I know their lineup is by no means world beaters.
Yeah.
Gavin Williams is starting to round into form
It's
here.
promising. I don't like that he only went 5 innings as dominant as he was. The pitch count's too high. It's something he's got to work on.
I know it's not
but
perfect.
But it was a very encouraging start. He pitched very well.
And he pitched against Detroit last week, gave the 3-run home run to Baez in the first inning. Took the loss, but after that pitched very well. In the last 2 games against Detroit, he's gone 11 innings, has like 13 or 14 strikeouts, only 3 walks. The only runs he allowed was off that 3-run homer. The Guardians need this guy to be at his best down the playoff stretch to have a chance to compete for a World Series. And what we've seen over the last 2 starts from Gavin Williams certainly makes you feel better about his chances to be pitching at the level needed for them to win a playoff series and hopefully multiple playoff series, because when he's on, his stuff's unhittable.
Yeah,
I saw an overlay yesterday from Pitching Ninja of a 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Williams and then a 12-6 curveball. It leaves his hand at almost the exact same spot, and trying to decipher whether it's going to be 96 heat on the corner or a knee-buckling breaking ball is damn near impossible.
I'm
and when he's
guessing.
pitching like that, like, good luck.
Listen, I believe that both Gavin Williams and Tanner Bybee, and I like Gavin Williams even more than Tanner Bybee, and I love Tanner Bybee. I think they're both potential Cy Young candidates going forward beyond this year. That's how good of stuff they both have. But Gavin Williams is electric stuff. If he can stay healthy, no doubt about it. He's averaging over a strikeout per inning. I would have loved to see him pitch against Baltimore. He will not pitch in that series. I don't think, they could. They probably won't.
Even with the off day?
With the off day, they could pitch him Sunday. I don't think they will. I think they'll, he's just coming back from injury, so I don't think, even though he'd be on regular rest, I still think they won't do it. He's not scheduled to pitch, but we'll see. Maybe they will pitch him Sunday. I'd love to see, because Bybee's going to pitch against the Orioles. I'd love to see. By the way, they took 2 out of 3 from Philly without Williams and Bybee pitching
I know.
in that series.
We talked about that. Crazy.
So I would love to see both Bybee and Williams pitch against the Orioles. But either way, he'll pitch against. There's a lot of good teams, as we talked about.
Yeah.
They'll get some really good tests. They got to keep. They can't afford an injury to the rotation. They cannot. It's that simple. But this team's ready. Again, I would have liked some more things. But this team is a legit contender. There's no doubt. And if you don't believe that, you're wrong. And even if they end up losing in the first round of the playoffs, which the Dodgers did with their $300 million payroll, we've seen it all the time. The Braves, all these, it doesn't mean they weren't a legit contender. They got a legit chance. Go ahead, Anthony.
Yeah, guys, as we said, the Orioles are coming back to town tomorrow. If you're looking to get tickets, there's no better place to get tickets for that game than Game Time. You can save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. They have a panoramic view, so you know exactly where you're sitting. The all-in pricing, you can toggle the feature on, and it'll show you no surprise fees, so it's all right up front. You know exactly what you're paying. Game Time will also credit you 110% of the difference if you do find a lower price ticket, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. All you got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but just create your account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
So this week, Jose Ramirez moved into second place on the all-time home run list. Obviously, he has spent a lot of time, or he is going to be passed. He's passed a lot of guys on home run list, on RBI list. There you go. There's the home run list. Number 243. He is 94 away from Thome.
Yeah, 94 from tying, 95 from setting the record.
So, what's the question, Anthony? Will he break Thome's record? Yes, he will.
How long do you think it'll take for him to get it?
I did the math. So he's 94 homers away.
Yeah. He's on pace for what, 40-something this year? His pace has slowed down.
I think it's like 39.4, 39
right.
point, whatever. It's around 40. But at the pace he's been at for his career, he needs about 4 seasons and change. But this season, and you would expect next season, and at least a year after.
He's still not very old.
No, he turns 32 this year.
Yeah.
So he's got at least 2 more years of legit
older than
power.
that.
Yeah.
No, he started at 20.
Dang.
So he's been around the league for forever. I think he has a chance to hit 30-plus home runs next season,
Yeah.
if not 40.
Yeah.
30-plus home runs the year after that, if not close to 40 again. I think he'd do it in 3 years. I don't think it's crazy to think that in 3 years, in 2027, Jose Ramirez is standing atop
I
the
don't think
Guardians,
it's impossible that he
Indians.
breaks it the last game of the season in 2026.
If he has 40 next year, 40 and
if he ends up with, he's slowed his pace because he's gotten cold, but he could hit 5 home runs in the next 10 days.
he has 3 home runs in the last 3 games.
Exactly.
2 games.
So if he gets, let's say he hits, what does he have right now? How many this year?
27.
Let's say he hits 15 the rest of this year. It's not impossible. He'd be at 258.
So he needs 80 over the next 2 years to break it.
Yeah, right. It's
not
it's
crazy.
possible.
Yeah.
But yes, probably by the 27th season if he stays relatively healthy. But at this point, I'd say 90% he becomes the all-time home run leader.
Why is it crazy that, like, when you look at those names and you see the other names, it just seems like the other names have more weight behind it? Is it because?
Let me see the names again, Anthony.
Besides the last two,
It's Thome.
Well, Earl Averill was a great player too. Because those guys, listen, those guys hit more home runs in their careers than Jose because they played for other teams. Obviously.
Yeah, like it's because look, like if you say like Myles Garrett is an all-time sack leader.
Yeah.
you're like, oh, it carries like weight behind it. You know what it is. Like, but when you see Jose there and you still see these other names, it just seems like, yes, Jose Ramirez is good. Is it because those other people played in a golden age or is it romanticized to a point where people don't know just how good he is? Like, just put them side by side.
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys were all, like Thome, Bell, and Ramirez were huge guys, right? They were more traditional power hitter looking players. Jose Ramirez doesn't look like a traditional player. I think the way he looks has always been a part of why he's been underestimated. And I don't think, maybe underappreciated. I don't know that he's underappreciated by our fans, but maybe there's some level of that. Yes, the 90s teams were magical, and the lineup was ridiculous. And those guys have had better careers because, certainly Manny and Thome and Bell to this point, because Ramirez's career is not over yet.
Yeah.
But when Ramirez retires, I think he's trending towards a Hall of Famer. Now, Thome's a Hall of Famer. Ramirez is only not a Hall of Famer because of steroids. Bell is a borderline Hall of Famer. Part of the reason he doesn't get considered is because of, he was a jerk and
people
let that affect.
Yeah.
And that's stupid that you let that affect. But there's arguments for him not being a Hall of Famer, too. If you look at some of the advanced stats, the greatness wasn't great long enough. But he was... The bottom line is, yes, Jose Ramirez doesn't have the cachet that those guys do, but he should. And I think he will by the time he retires.
Because when I look at, just coming from that era, when you said Albert Bell, it still hit different. Like, it's just, that's Albert Bell. Like,
you're right.
Like, it wasn't no, hey, do you guys know how good Albert Bell is? It was like, no, Albert Bell during that period of time was like, he's the only guy I knew that was literally intimidating people that was not in a non-contact sport.
Right.
Albert Bell wasn't allowed to tackle you or something, but people was like, let me run over Fernando Vina.
Right.
I'm going to intimidate your media guys. It's almost like he intimidated the pitcher to throwing him pitches that he wanted to hit. You're going to throw me a fastball or else. Like,
I may come out and kill you.
Like, I ain't never seen that.
Well, he had that. I was thinking with Manny in particular. Like, Manny had a whole second career after Cleveland.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So did Thome.
No, I'm just saying Ramirez, and for this specific, like, people who love baseball, maybe not love baseball, people who like baseball who are younger, don't think of Manny in his Cleveland days.
Right.
It's all Boston and beyond. So
right.
he is this two-stage career. So now, so far removed from his playing days, I think we look back and think of the totality of Manny's career as opposed to just his time in Cleveland on that list.
Yeah.
And same with Thome. And Jose only has this chapter of his career at this point.
And listen, Jose's, fair or not, has shown a loyalty to the organization that those guys didn't.
Right.
That's maybe unfair. They got offered more, but you could say, well, they got offered more money. Well, if Jose had waited to be a free agent, he would have got offered more money by somebody else too. But he didn't do that.
And there are reports that Toronto offered $100 million more, close to $100 million more than the Guardians did.
What do you mean?
Bug.
To who?
Jose Ramirez.
They couldn't have offered him $100 million more. He was a free agent.
No, they were willing to offer him.
Yeah, I'm sure there were a lot of teams.
Had he hit free agency.
Yeah, a lot of teams would have offered him more. There would have been multiple teams that would have offered him more than the Indians/Guardians did, and he stayed anyway. All right? But part of the reason, Myles Garrett, there's not a great player. He's not a great pass rusher that has more career sacks than Myles Garrett that played for the Browns and then went somewhere else.
Right.
Whereas Manny and Thome obviously have way more home runs than Jose career-wise. So, yeah, he's going to become the all-time Guardians home run leader, but he doesn't have the most home runs of anybody that's played a significant amount of time for the Guardians.
Yeah.
That's why it feels different.
I'm not
It's
saying,
more about a loyalty and for all those jerseys that you had to put in the closet for a while, you won't have to do that with Jose's.
And I'm not saying that Jose. What I'm saying is he has the talent and the resume of some of those guys. It's not like when you look at those guys, he's like getting blown out.
Right.
But I'm just saying it just feels like it. Like he's on that level talent-wise. He's on that level for what he's done. But it just seems like when you look at the other names, there's something extra attached to it. And I'm trying to figure out why it is, because we've seen Jose play at a very high level for a very long time.
I think also, like, if you think about it, before steroids was in the mix, the all-time home run leader, career-wise, was Hank Aaron, of course. Mm-hmm. But I think when a lot of older baseball fans think of home runs, you think of certainly Babe Ruth, and then you think of Roger Maris and the home run record that year. People think of Mickey Mantle. They think of Willie Mays.
And then it's crazy because Willie Mays, they think of like they skip the home runs. Like Hank Aaron. I used to ask my dad, like, why is it, because we talk about cards. So I'm like, why Hank Aaron's card ain't worth that much? And he got the most home runs. And people in his era will say, well, Willie Mays was the best.
Most people in that era think Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle were better than Hank Aaron.
Yeah.
But Hank Aaron was he never hit 50 home runs, Hank Aaron, ever.
He hit 48, 47, 47, 46, 45,
anyway,
45.
And so in some ways he was also unfairly overlooked.
Yeah.
And maybe there's some of that with Jose Ramirez.
And one more thought on the Jose thing. He's not a power hitter. Like, he hits home runs, but he's not a power hitter. Like, Thome was a guy who stood up there and was trying to launch piss missiles into the third deck.
Yeah, but Jose
time.
is a power hitter. He just doesn't look like a power hitter.
But I feel like if you were talking about Jose and say, what's the best part of Jose's offensive approach? It's not his home run swing.
Well, but you wouldn't say that about Ken Griffey Jr. either, but he's still a home run hitter.
I think Ken Griffey Jr. is a home run hitter.
Yeah, I think Ken Griffey is a home run hitter.
No, he is, but that's not the best part of his swing. I mean, the guy was great at getting up. He was great at everything.
But he's played, I mean, Jose for his career has played 12 years
and
has 240 home runs. Like, it's not like he puts up these monster home run numbers. Like, he has a power swing. I just don't consider Jose a traditional power hitter.
He's not. No, he's not.
That's my point. Like, he's
here's why. And it just
you see what I'm saying?
It dawned on me. If you asked me to say which dominant characteristic trait does Jose Ramirez have, I couldn't tell you what he's dominant at. It's obvious that Albert Bell had power. It's obviously that Manny Ramirez had a cannon for right field. It's obviously that Griffey was athletic and he could hit home runs. He was just great at everything. Like Jose,
but that's what makes Jose special.
He's just that good.
He's better than good. He's a damn good baseball player.
Everything.
So
he's excellent at everything. He's an excellent defender. He's an excellent base runner. He's an excellent base stealer. He's excellent at hitting. He's very good at hitting for power. He's very good at hitting for average. He's good at getting on base.
That's my point.
He's a good leader. He's good. He's good. He's excellent at everything. He's not just decent at everything. He's excellent at everything.
And that's what I'm saying. When you think of Jose, you don't think of a guy.
No, you don't think of home
bomb
runs.
Home runs. That's not what you think of.
It's funny because even from a fantasy baseball perspective, he's probably been a first-round draft pick now longer than almost any player because Mike Trout dropped out of the first round this year. And yet nobody is overly excited to get Jose Ramirez in fantasy in the first round every year, but he consistently puts up great numbers every single season. He's just steady as he goes. Go ahead, Anthony. Let's switch gears. We've been talking baseball the whole hour. Now it's time to switch gears, talk some football.
Yeah, before we get into football, guys, I just want to remind everybody to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have all the Ultimate shows, Ultimate Browns, Cavs, Guardians, and 216. You'll get notifications anytime they go live if you subscribe. And we have memberships for $1.99 and $5.99, and $5.99 gets you overtime. Yesterday, we reimagined the entire NFL and picked the division winners. It was a good time. I'm not sure what we're doing yet today. Still looking.
What do you mean reimagined?
It was reimagined divisions. Somebody had came up with the new divisions based on geographic.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that little thing there. Real quick, before we get into the first topic we had planned, I wanted to talk about. I thought, Jason wrote an interesting article for The Athletic, and as always, Jason does a great job. I'm sure most of you saw it. If you haven't, it was about Deshaun Watson and the comments he made the other day, and I just wanted to comment on it. First of all, there was nothing I really disagreed with in Jason's article. However, I want to say this. The discussion about Deshaun Watson for me has been litigated in courts and in the court of public opinion a lot by now. Everybody has decided where they stand. I have said many times that the reality of most situations when it's he said, she said, now in this case it's he said and many she saids, is often somewhere in between one side's reality and the other. I don't know. I wasn't there. The only people that know what happened in this situation is Deshaun Watson and these women. Everybody else's opinions are really, including mine, meaningless because we have no idea. Personally, I think it's unreasonable to believe 20-something women are completely lying, but that's neither here nor there. What I would say with certainty, I shouldn't even say this with certainty. What I would say for most people, and I know for myself, is there's nothing left to discuss in my mind about this, and I think people want to just talk about on the field. I think most of our fans just want to talk about on the field. So while I think Jason did a great job with the article, and I agree with it, and I think Watson's comments were silly in my opinion, for me, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I just don't. And I want to talk about football, not because I think other stuff needs to be ignored, but because it's been more than talked to death at this point.
And there's no new information on it.
There's no new information.
It's just
If we get new
rehashing
so
the same stuff over
So
and over.
I have no desire to fight with anybody about what happened. Here's what I think happened. We've done it. We've done it a million times.
Yeah, there's
You know?
sometimes and sometimes I look at it like this. I think Deshaun Watson's comments where he said he doesn't care about any of it. After a certain period of time, it's like anybody is a human being. Like when you rehash and you relitigate, there's no place for you to. Where's the off ramp? Where's a place where I can say, I'm here to work. I'm here to come do my thing. I'm here to come throw touchdown passes. I'm all for it. Listen, I'm all for the smoke. The smoke on the field, if he throw 96 interceptions, we going to get him.
Yeah.
we going to get him.
That's it. And the only way Deshaun Watson is going to get the majority of people on his side is by playing great.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear my man Xavier P., who I love, his propaganda trying to convince me that Deshaun Watson has played well when he knows that he hasn't. Stop it, Xavier P. You know he hasn't played well. Stop it. That's not what we've expected.
He has, but
he hasn't played well.
But he has not played as bad. Like Trey Wingo said, he played this. Like when you got that's the problem when we talk. It's hyperbole versus hyperbole. When somebody says the worst contract in history, you're going to force somebody else to say, "Come on, man, that's not the worst I can think of a lot of worst Bobby Bonilla still getting paid today is a bad contract.
Well,
at
this moment in time. At this moment in time, based on the first 2 years, it is one of the worst contracts right now. Doesn't mean it will be.
Yeah,
isn't it one of the worst contracts in football right now?
Yeah, it is. But here's and I always say this. And this
Trey Wingo got people fired up yesterday. He killed.
Yeah.
Watson is not. I don't understand how we can argue this. He has not played well through 2 years. You could pick and choose a couple of things to look over here. But
we have to always say this too. He's played 11 games.
We've said that a million times. That's never been excluded.
I will say this. I have never seen in the history of football a smaller sample size criticized so much.
But where's the comparison?
That's the thing. There is none.
It's 11 games over 3 years, G. That's the issue. It's not.
That's it. And that's part of the issue.
But we also have to put
But
that in. But
here's what's disingenuous for the people, and I don't know if you're, because I know you were with me the other day when we discussed this. But I know Earl has defended Deshaun Watson to some degree and how he's played. Certainly my man Xavier P., who I love. One of my favorite guys on Twitter. And he's always fighting with everybody. And most of his fights I agree with. But here's what's disingenuous. Mm-hmm. And if you tell me I'm wrong, you're full of baloney. If I would have told you 2 years ago, when they traded for Deshaun Watson, mm-hmm. And I would have told you how he's played these 2 years. He's missed all this time. He hasn't played well when he's been on the field. If I would have gone through these games and you would have watched and that was it, you would have said, oh my God, what a disaster. And to deny that is ridiculous. When they traded for Watson, mm-hmm. I was on the air live. And I went bananas, mm-hmm. and I've said that 15 times because, and why did I go bananas? I didn't go bananas because I thought Deshaun Watson was maybe going to play like Baker Mayfield when he was healthy. I went bananas because I thought for the first time in the history of this franchise that they had a superstar because Deshaun Watson in Houston was a superstar. Don't tell me about. If you want to tell, if you're going to tell me about sample size, I don't want to hear about win-loss record, because the reality is that Deshaun Watson has that as much as I don't like him, the Browns would have been better off with Baker Mayfield the last 2 years. So Deshaun Watson has not been what they've expected. Yes, a lot of that's injury, but that's part of the deal. And the bottom line is watching him play. Come on, G. He has not played well enough. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. Stop being disingenuous. Stop telling me his record. Stop giving me his numbers against the Tennessee Titans, a team that, or against the Cardinals, where you could have won with any quarterback, and you know that.
That's what I said.
He's got to play better. He's got to play great.
He has to play better. But I should also say, is if we're going to stop being disingenuous, let's stop doing this.
Yeah.
Anytime he says something that you don't like,
I don't give a shit about what he says.
Hold on.
I don't care.
I'm just giving.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Anytime if you are covering Deshaun Watson, anytime he says something you don't like, is not a carte blanche to go back to allegations.
And that's why I just said I don't want to, because I don't care. Yeah, well, I may say, oh yeah, if somebody asks my opinion, what do you think about Deshaun Watson said? I think it was stupid what he said. Do I care? No, I don't. It doesn't affect. I only care now about what he does on the field, and what he's done on the field has been not even close to good enough. And that's it. I only care about that.
And here's why G. Bush has been super consistent.
Yeah.
I'm giving you a number.
I'm
giving you a name and a number. I'm specific. When they say what Deshaun Watson needs to do, and I say, I need this amount of yards, I need this amount of touchdowns, because I understand that there's a certain side of people that want to say it's all about winning. It's all about how you act. No, it ain't about none of that. It is about what you put up and what you get done. And if he put 4,500 yards up, he put 5,000 yards up, you know what he can do? He can go and say, hey.
He do whatever he wants.
Anybody that want to still talk about allegations, here you go. Cheers to you. I got 5,000 yards with 45 touchdowns. My team was in the playoffs. Kick rocks.
And you talk about the small sample size, and I'll go to you right after this. Part of the reason that those conversations haven't gone by the wayside yet, which they 100% should, Bull's right, like everything.
I don't care anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I agree. The 11 games hasn't been enough of a sample size to get us past going back to that.
Yes.
Which is, it's a circle that never, it's a never-ending cycle of this.
This bullshit argument about all they have to do is win. Don't give me that bullshit. Of course, every team, all they got to do is win. That's all that matters in the end. Here's the bottom line.
And then
the Browns can't win when it matters if Deshaun stinks. That's it. Or if Deshaun's mediocre. The Browns didn't trade what they traded and didn't pay what they paid for him to hopefully be along for the ride as they win. They traded what they traded, and they paid what they paid, because in Houston, he played like an all-pro. And he's got to play like an all-pro, or the trade's a bust. But if he plays like an all-pro, I don't give a shit what happened the last 2 years. That's the past. If he plays like an all-pro, that's all that matters. And everybody, as you said, can kick rocks and kiss my ass. It doesn't matter. He's got to play great. I don't want this. He's just got to win. Give me a break. The better he plays, the more they're going to win. That's that simple. It's disingenuous to argue it's all about winning. Of course it's all about winning. But the better the quarterback plays, the better chance. And the Browns, with a mediocre Deshaun Watson, they ain't winning squat when it matters. You're not beating Patrick Mahomes and these other quarterbacks in the games in the playoffs with an along for the ride Deshaun Watson. Stop it. That's not what they traded him for. You had Baker Mayfield if you wanted an along-for-the-ride quarterback.
You could say that about every team in football.
Yes,
they're not going to win if their quarterback in the biggest moments does not play well.
That's
enough.
right.
Well, we're going to actually talk about almost every team in football right now, because we have the NFL Power Rankings from Fanduel.
This is what we're rushing off a good Deshaun Watson topic, is the effing Power Rankings on FanDuel. Who gives a shit about the Power Rankings on FanDuel? We're talking about Deshaun Watson. That's all that matters.
Yeah, and is he going to play the good this year?
By the way, I know you guys the other day were talking about, you had another ludicrous topic about, could he prove anything in training camp? If anybody said yes, they're an idiot. No offense. I love you guys.
Jay
said yes.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
no, listen. Jay said he can't prove anything to change my perception. In a good way, he can change my perception in a bad way. That was Jay's answer.
That's fine. Okay.
Yes, you can change people's perception. It's practice. You know what he can change? The people that count. It counts that you complete passes and throw the ball well in practice to your teammates.
And he was reportedly
fine.
He was reportedly 5
It's not going to change fans' opinions based on practice.
And that's why I am all for him saying, I don't care who like you. Bro, listen, Cameron, listen, keep talking your stuff. If you want to learn something at the end of the day, listen, Deshaun, I'm all for what you said. I don't care who like me and who don't. you going to come watch this game anyway. You ain't about to stop watching Browns games. You going to come to the stadium. You can say whatever you want at the Muni Lot or whatever.
That's right.
I'm Deshaun Watson. I'm number 4. I'm nice. I've been nice. I'm going to wear my jewelry. I'm going to go to any country I want to, including Saudi Arabia, and hang out if I choose to. That's part of the game. I got my Bentley.
That was pretty stupid.
Hey, but I'm just saying. It's a free. It's the free world.
It was pretty dumb.
Hey, listen. We can't talk about politics.
That's not. I mean,
why? There's a political reason why you can't go to Saudi Arabia, right?
I mean,
yes, indeed. There you go, McNuggets.
I mean,
by the way,
I'm staying out of that.
Drive your
I
Bentley.
talk politics all the time. People get mad at me.
Drive your Bentley. Put stuff on Instagram. Live your life, bro. Because at the end of the day, these people that's gonna flip flop back and forth, when that 5 racks come and you get them 5 racks. Keep the receipts too. I don't want to hear no but crying.
But people are going to keep the receipts on him if he
I
doesn't
got
back
it.
it up.
Hey, I got you.
If he doesn't back it up.
I don't want to hear no crying in the press conference. Deshaun shouldn't be telling fans, remember the time when you said I was garbage. Keep them receipts. If that's going to get you to throw for 4, throw
That's
for
fair.
4. And then drive off on your Bentley with your beautiful girlfriend and live your life as a rich black man. There we go.
That's fair. But the same thing's going to go the opposite way if he doesn't play well.
And that's the way.
It's all
High
on him.
stakes. It's high stakes.
I like it.
It's a high stakes win and
All
lose
right,
game.
let's get to the FanDuel list there, Anthony.
Well, hey, I mean, these FanDuel lists could change, but
Yeah.
it doesn't change unless Watson plays, and we'll have that conversation. We're not doing a FanDuel read right now, Steve, but I appreciate it.
We should do a FanDuel read.
Yeah, I mean,
That would have been appropriate.
right.
You kind of
I love
dropped the ball on
sports.
that.
I love them so much that I never want the sports to stop sporting.
Nah,
and even as the
sportsing.
summer winds down,
Keep those sportsing.
You guys want me to actually do the read, or are we just going to
No,
keep
too late. You
yelling
blew the
around
moment.
at each other?
There
All
you
right.
go. There you go.
Here's the interesting thing about them being 22nd on this list, that there's nothing interesting. Okay? These lists are stupid. Here's why these lists come out, and here's why we sometimes talk about these lists. Because we're looking for something to talk about. We on this show have many great things to talk about, including our arguments about Deshaun Watson, that we don't need to make bullshit topics. But we thought we might not, so we had the bullshit topic at 22nd.
There we go.
The most amazing thing to me and is that people get triggered by
they get so mad.
where
Yeah.
Browns are on the
They
list.
get so mad.
It's insane. It's like one person's opinion. Who made this list? You never even heard of the guy or girl who did it. Who cares? A power rankings list in July, a power rankings list at any time is 100% meaningless. So why would you care if the Browns are 22nd? Why would that bother you? I don't understand. I don't look at where the Browns and the Bengals rank on these things. If I were at I'll just speak for the Bengals because I don't do the Bengals for my job. I do the Bengals just as a fan. I don't look at where the Bengals are on the power rankings. I don't give a shit. Who cares?
Does that make Bull a bad fan, G?
No, because to be clear, the Bengals and the Browns aren't on the same level. Like the Browns are on the list of everybody. It's a rite of passage to troll the Browns. The Bengals have been bad, but the Bengals have
get
also
trolled
been
a lot too.
But
People love Joe Burrow.
They
so
love Joe
they're not
Burrow,
getting trolled.
and if you look, they've been to the Super Bowl 3 times. Like they got players, like
Including 2 years ago.
Yeah,
recently, yeah.
But the Browns are a very easy dismissive choice.
But
like,
there are a lot of people that are high on the Browns right now nationally too.
yes,
It's a mixed bag. There's the opinions, and I'm not surprised by this. The opinions on this is what is really interesting about it is that the mixed opinion on the Browns. There is more variety of opinion on the Browns, I think, than maybe any other team in football.
I would say I'm pretty confident it is 100%
Yes.
more variety. And it all comes down to how you
What
feel
you think
about
of
Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
That's it. Because some people don't think the talent overall is as good. Most people realize the Browns have a lot of talent. But if you think Watson's going to be great, you're going to have the Browns in the top 5. You think he's going to be good, you're going to have him in the top 10. You think he's going to be mediocre, you're going to have him between 10 and 15. If you think he's going to suck, you're going to have him after 15. It all comes down to how good you think he is.
I think the Cleveland Browns fan base is the most divided fan base in the game. I think if you watch Philadelphia picks a couple of people and they got the same opinion. I don't like this guy, or this guy. When you watch the Cleveland Browns over the last 10 years, I can give you names and just throw them out and watch the group of people that go over there and want to go over there.
But gee, but I can say Nick Chubb or Myles Garrett, and there's not going to be no dividing line between those guys.
Well, no, look, hold on. No.
I feel like every fan base has their guys.
That's
like
not true. Like, we just forget. When Myles Garrett hit old boy in the helmet,
yeah, okay, that's fine.
it was a chasm. It was guys over there and guys over there.
I agree with that. But here's the thing. That's because the Browns haven't had a short thing at quarterback play like a short thing. We thought we had, like some fans thought Baker was, but not everybody was convinced.
Baker Mayfield,
we
over
thought
here,
Deshaun
over
Watson
here.
was.
Deshaun Watson, over here, over here.
But Deshaun Watson was a superstar. He hasn't played like a superstar here, and there's off-the-field stuff. If the Browns had Joe Burrow as quarterback, there'd be no dissenting views.
Odell Beckham Jr., over here.
But he didn't play well here.
Okay, Jarvis Landry, over here.
Everybody liked Jarvis.
At the end of Jarvis Landry,
But he stopped playing well.
Yeah.
It comes down to when you don't play well. It's
There's
the
no dissenting
expectation
opinions on Nick Chubb. Everybody loves Nick Chubb. Everybody.
except the time when Nick Chubb went viral because people were saying that they've got to move on from Nick Chubb because you don't pay a running back that. Remember, we don't remember that in the summer?
I don't think there were a lot of fans saying
there was
that.
a fan saying
People
that.
was going. There's people writing whole articles about that.
Yeah, but that's national media members. That's not Browns fans.
Yeah.
When you look at it, I'll say this: when you take a look, and even before, the Browns don't have a unified message on pretty much anything. Like even when we say stadium, there ain't no. It's dissenting.
I just don't buy that every other fan base wouldn't have the same arguments about the same players.
Well, here's the thing. I'm looking around.
You think there'd be any city in America right now if Deshaun Watson had got traded to any other place?
Atlanta,
you don't
Carolina.
think, and he had played like he played here. It'd be the same divide.
So I look at it like this. Like there's a divide, like say Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
Some people think Kirk Cousins is good. Some people think Kirk Cousins is bad.
Yeah.
I don't think people in Minnesota was like divided 50-50.
But you don't know. You're not paying that close attention. I don't know either.
But my theory is this: the reason these lists trigger us, right, and the reason they continue to do this, right, is because for us in our fan base, we end up on these lists 25, 22, 23, right, and we get hot and upset about it because we feel like you're trolling. Like, let's be real. You know the Cleveland Browns are not the 20 best team.
And if you look at this list, and we pull up the list again, like
Yeah, we got it right here.
it doesn't matter. We can argue specific, but there is no world in any capacity you could talk yourself into the Giants at 21.
But
Are you serious?
That's my point. Like
it's stupid.
They do this to troll.
You really think?
Troll.
No. My
Do
point
you
is
really think this guy was trolling the Browns?
not necessarily.
Yes!
Not necessarily
Oh, come
like
on.
with the
Yes!
Colts too. Like you can't put the Giants ahead of the Colts for the Browns' sake. And I'm just looking at this from the Browns' perspective.
Yeah.
Like the Seahawks at 13, there's no world where the Seahawks
Really?
are 10 spots ahead or 9 spots ahead of the Browns.
just don't
The Giants
care
in
that
particular
much.
is the most egregious misplaced one.
It is stupid that the
Caleb
Giants
Williams
would
at
be ahead.
15 and the Bears, like even if you're high on the Bears, that's a catastrophic jump from a team that was
Listen,
picking the top 10 last year.
Well, first of all, you can make an argument for that it's not impossible that the Bears are going to be better than the Browns this year. That's silly. It's possible.
But
so maybe this guy believes it. Every year there are teams that surprise.
I can tell you
The Bears could be better than the Bengals too. I mean, I don't know.
So here's
If Caleb Williams is
C.J. Stroud?
C.J. Stroud, why couldn't the Bears be excellent?
you just, in my opinion, when you're putting this list together beforehand, to do something like that, and all these lists
Mike.
come with the intent to get a reaction.
That's it.
No, all these lists come to get intent to get a
Fine.
reaction. That's not the right. That guy's also there to get
I
a
don't
reaction.
buy.
But like,
I don't.
you can't
this
talk.
Idea,
There's no football argument you can talk yourself into
Yeah.
to put the Giants one
Ever.
spot ahead of the Browns.
Probably not.
There's not.
But I don't. I mean, I don't know who made this list.
It was
okay?
Fanduel. It wasn't a writer. It was
Do
Fanduel.
you really think they said, let's troll the Browns? I just don't.
Well, it's not the Browns, but Fanduel puts out the over/under win losses, right?
Yeah.
So you would think maybe their list goes hand in hand
But
with
this
the
might
win
just be
totals.
one guy who works at FanDuel.
I'm just saying they put these out for a reaction,
Bull.
and there is no
He at least got the
tangible
Broncos
way.
right. 32 is right.
That's wrong. The Patriots. I would have the Patriots 30.
Nah, we got a rookie quarterback.
And I
starting.
talked to Jay about this too, and I asked him, and this is a deeper conversation to be had. Like to believe that there's any integrity in the list that people put out or the things that they say in like the sports media is ludicrous.
I think that's unfair.
That's ludicrous.
What, you think nobody has integrity?
Not the rich dudes.
What do you mean the rich dudes?
So in this game,
yeah.
when we got
This is some random dude. We don't even know who it is.
So this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I could put out a regular power ranking list just like this, right?
Yeah.
And I could slate it correctly, right? But
Correctly based on what you think. Everybody's got a different opinion.
so let me give you this,
Yeah.
okay? To show you how this works. G. Bush's power ranking list,
Yeah.
right? If I'm a no-name gangster and don't nobody know who I am, I could go ahead and put Kansas City and Baltimore and San Francisco and be very measured. Or I could just say, let me come up with my own list. Let me put Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs at 10. Let me move Baltimore to 15, and I'm gonna put the Lions at 25 because look, I think they go fall. And then people will say, "Who's this idiot?"
It's engagement for him.
It's an engagement.
Okay, maybe so. So then why would you care about it then?
Well, because
First of all, I think some people make these lists and do what they really think is the right order. There are probably some that make lists and do crazy things to get a reaction. I don't buy this whole cabal of NFL predictors trolling Browns fans.
I do. Here's
Cabal,
the thing.
great word.
Here's the thing. The reason why I do think
You're biased, though.
no.
You are.
Well,
You're
here's
biased because you feel picked on.
No,
as a Browns fan.
No, because I don't feel biased. I go by football 101. Like McNugget said, there is no way in a practical football reason that you can put a rookie quarterback with a team that drafted in the top. They had the number 1 overall pick, and you picked them 15.
Well, that was the Panthers pick. They had the 9th
But
pick. I'm with you.
There are other lists where the Browns are in the top 10. Like, why didn't those people are fair?
I haven't seen very many.
How many lists have you seen?
We do them a lot on the show.
Okay, Mike's only picking the ones. Mike's only picking the ones where the Browns are being insulted.
I mean, we don't be seeing it.
Let's find a random NFL power rankings. Here we go. NFL power rankings. We're gonna randomly do it. Okay, this is Yahoo Sports.
I've seen the Browns between like
Okay.
8
Yahoo
and 14.
Sports. Where do they have the Browns? 7.
Okay.
Yahoo Sports, right here. Frank Schwab of Yahoo Sports has the Browns 7.
Real quick before you go on,
Yeah.
Frank Schwab, as we all know, is the most respected writer in all of
Exactly.
football. Like he,
That's Frankie. That's big Frankie Schwab. Okay.
Unbiased journalism, Frankie Schwab. So you go.
All right, here we go. Next up, power rankings. Bleacher Report 1 day ago. This is the NFL staff Bleacher Report. Let's see where the Browns are. Let's see. I'm only on 21. All right, they got the. Let's see. Here we go. I'll give you the on Bleacher Report. We got number 1 is the Chiefs. Number 2 is the Niners. Number 3 is the Lions. Number 4, the Texans. Number 5, the Ravens. 6 is the Bengals. 7 is the Bills. 8 is the Eagles. Is he telling me to wrap it up?
I think so.
That is obnoxious. I know it's, listen, the point is, okay, the Browns are lower on this one.
What are they at?
I still haven't found them yet.
Okay.
13, 14.
16, 20.
Browns are 15. Is that insulting? Where is the insulting line?
So we've seen 22, we've seen 7, and we've seen 15.
Where is the insulting line? Tell me where you think the insulting line is.
Bottom half of the league, G.
Yeah,
You got at
bottom
16.
Is 15 insulting?
How many teams is it?
32.
16 and below is insulting.
So 15 is not insulting.
It's borderline. I see
Borderline
more lists.
insulting.
I've seen the Browns
NFL
more.
Network has the Browns 12.
Okay.
Is that fair?
That's cool.
Where would you have the Browns? Let me give you the teams that NFL Network is ahead of the Browns.
Okay.
And you tell me if you'd put the Browns ahead of this team. Okay? Mm-hmm. Chiefs. Mm-mm. Niners. Mm-mm. Ravens.
Nope.
Lions.
Nope.
Eagles.
I think you can make a case. I don't think the Eagles are that talented.
I could make a case for the Eagles.
Okay,
but I'm not going
certainly make a case for okay.
You could.
Texans.
I give the Texans the edge.
Texans beat them in the playoffs
Yeah,
last year.
yeah,
You'd have to
slightly.
lean
I
in
give
that
the edge.
direction. Bills.
I can make a case for the Browns.
I think that's push.
Packers.
I like the Packers a lot this year.
I like the Packers, but I think the Browns could beat the Packers. Push.
Bengals.
I think it's a push.
Same thing.
Cowboys.
Push.
Dolphins.
Push.
So I think I don't. It's definitely not an insult putting the Browns 12.
No.
So that's now 4. We saw the Browns 7, 12, 15, 22. 22 is absurd.
It's kind of crazy.
I think we understand.
It's kind of crazy.
I think reasonably, it just comes down to what is your gut telling you about Deshaun Watson. And that's going to lead the Browns to being reasonably anywhere, I think, from 5 to 15. Really. And that's it, because if you think Deshaun Watson's going to be really good, the Browns are a Super Bowl contender. Not a top Super Bowl contender, but a Super Bowl contender, so you have them between 5 and 7. If you think he's going to be kind of mediocre, then they're still a playoff contender, but they're a lower tier playoff contender. I guess if you think he's going to be terrible and you think their talent is overrated, you put him at 22. I'll agree 22 is absurd. I don't care. I think it's stupid. I think the other three that we saw, Yahoo, Bleacher Report, and NFL.com, are reasonable. Now, I'd have the Browns personally higher than 15. But I think the Browns are, in that 9 to 12 range is probably where they belong heading into the season, because unlike the other really talented teams, there is a big question mark about their quarterback. That's fair.
And we'll see if Mike Vrabel can help him out, which leads us to what Anthony has to get to.
All right, Anthony. Pull it together.
I got you real quick before we get into our other Browns topic. I want to remind everybody, I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down and we get fewer games, and the sports just aren't sporting like I want them to, Fanduel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. And all I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, Fanduel is hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every single day, all summer long. All you have to do is head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS to start making the most out of your summer. Fanduel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. So guys, yesterday when Mike Vrabel was asked about his role on the team and his role for game day, he said this. Steve, if you want to take this quote, I'll read it here for you. There won't be a role on game day. That's something we talked about prior to doing this, and it's the right fit for everybody. I'm going to try and be available to help throughout the week, and there will be games that I'm at to help support. This seemed a little odd to me. I think it makes sense Stefanski has him with no game day responsibilities. He is another head coach in the universe. What are your guys' thoughts on this, though, of him not having a game day role, even though he's been there every day for camp, been there throughout the week, and he'll be there around games, but he won't have an actual role?
Man, I don't want no headset either. Look, let them deal with that. Like, I'm a consultant. Like, that's like you a Fortune 500 consultant that come in to fix certain things. Do you want to go to all the board meetings? No, I want to come in, circle a couple things, throw a couple things out, eat your donuts and free coffee, and get up out of there. Like, Mike Vrabel, the way football work is, the meaningful stuff that he's giving you is right now. The meaningful nuggets that you getting is right now. With him pulling JOK aside, like, hey, when that dude blocked down like that, remember, like, you should be watching this key right here. The meaningful stuff is this right here. It is working one-on-one with guys hand to hand. And this is the part about football, I think, and this is great because I think that if people went to practice more and people saw how they interacted and what they actually did, and the press was allowed to be in there and film, they would understand that the most of the stuff that we talk about don't matter. The stuff that actually matters is what's going on inside those classrooms, inside, this is on the whiteboard. This is a guy right here watching film, breaking down film. Him talking to Jim Schwartz, coming up with new ideas for how to scheme week 7 against a quarterback that likes to throw the ball to the right-hand side of the field and has a tell when he passes the football. Those are the things that are important, not him getting the headset on calling stuff in the game. That's not where his place is. That's not where it should be. And this is spot on to what he was supposed to bring to the table.
I'm 100% on board with this decision. I not only think it's the right decision, I think it makes so much sense. When Vrabel was on a podcast 2 weeks ago, he was asked about his specific role with the Browns, and he said, I'm here to give the defense an offensive perspective as they game plan throughout the week, and I'm here to give the offense a defensive perspective as they game plan for the week, and then offer my expertise on certain teams and opponents that I've scouted the last couple of years. I'm also here to help with whatever Kevin Stefanski asks for my help with, and Andrew Berry, whatever he wants, I'm here to help in that regard as well. So when you look at what he's doing on game day, let him go watch the games from the Muni Lot. Let him go at home and relax, because the real preparation and the real value Vrabel is going to bring to this team come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, in the lead up to the actual football game, not when it's 3rd and 1 and Stefanski has to decide, do I call a run or a pass here? And in the split second, he has to decide, what do I do? Oh, let me ask Vrabel. It doesn't work like that. It has to be one voice, one thought when it's coming to that play calling situation. And even though Vrabel wouldn't call offensive plays, just from that overall coaching standpoint, having that other guy on the sideline that people may gravitate towards or say, hey, what is his? It doesn't matter. what he does in the 5-6 days leading up to the game is so much more valuable to the Browns and the outcome and the product we see on the field than whatever he can contribute on the sidelines in 2-3 second spurts during a game.
By the way, I'm just remembering this is the first time I'm here since the Browns announced, or that Kevin Stefanski said he was going to call the plays, which I was thrilled to hear. To me, my biggest concern this offseason when they hired Ken Dorsey was that a lot of this was forced on Kevin Stefanski and that some of his power was taken away from him. Once he got the extension, I felt better about it, but I felt even better about the organization when I learned that Kevin Stefanski was going to call plays. I think that was a really healthy sign for the Browns. I thought it was a major positive. I'm excited about that. The Vrabel thing, I'm with you guys. His comments are a nothing burger. There's nothing to make of it because Mike Vrabel is like, you know how a lot of you fans remember Les Levine, of course. Mm-hmm. We all love Les. He passed away a couple of years ago. We all miss him. He was a legend in the sports talk game in the city of Cleveland. And Les retired, but he would then work part-time at the Fan. Mm-hmm. And he worked when he wanted to work. And if he didn't want to work, if Andy called and said, hey, you want to do a shift? He didn't do a shift because he felt like he had to. When you're young and coming up, if the boss calls you, you better take that shift.
What time is it? 12 midnight. 12 to 1.
Exactly. Les Levine worked when he wanted to work. And that's what's happening with Vrabel right now. Like, he knows he's going to be a head coach next year.
He said it. He literally said it.
Of course. He's going to be a head coach next year. He's a great coach. He is contributing to his hometown team. He is a great benefit for this organization. He certainly doesn't want to overstep. He doesn't want to be involved in game day. That's fine. They don't need him on game day. G said one of the best things you've ever said, and it's so on the money in that last comment when you said, the most important stuff going on right now, we're not seeing that. We always react to what we see, like if we go to training camp. Yeah. I see the tweets, this was a nice pass on the 7-and-7 drill. That stuff is meaningless. Training camp, when I say training camp, often I'll say training camp and this stuff is meaningless. It's meaningless to us. Yeah. Because we're not really learning anything. Yeah. It's not meaningless to them. And G is 100% right. He knows because he played at a high level of college football. That's the important stuff. It's all these little things. I love watching him run around like a lunatic at practice.
His races with Jameis are incredible. Right. Incredible.
Yeah. It's great. By the way, the one thing in Seattle, I was staying right by the Seahawks practice facility, so they had a lot going on there. In fact, I was staying in the same town Tyvus lived in when he was in Seattle. Yeah.
Look. This is the cool thing about it is, and I have to remind myself because in this industry, this is part entertainment, this is part media, this is part show, and then it's sports on the side. Like this, yes, you talk about sports, but you don't want to talk about sports at such a high level that people tune out and say, "What is this guy just talking about?" Sometimes, I get my football fix by, I watch defensive back drills, right? Because I know what they're doing up front in defensive linemen, but I want to know what's going on behind me. I want to know what the linebacker calls it is. And I was sending little things to Tyvus because I'm watching how they coaching up different things like, match zones in cover 4 or cover 6 or cover 1 and just doing things. So I just passed that by and he like, man, that's weird. Like, where did you find this at? But Mikey knows this even when it comes to some minute things like basketball. Like when somebody says, all right, you watching basketball, and somebody says, oh, they're bad defensively. They don't know that there's like 9 different ways that they could be teaching the pick and roll, right? There's like 10 different ways just defensively. We could be like, we're going to leave him in the corner. We're going to float to him. We're going to ice. We're going to stem. We're going to hedge and get back. It's a lot of things that go into it. I think sometimes we do a bad job of just, sometimes really just giving way too much. We oversimplify things a little bit too much.
I remember when Buzz Williams got hired to coach the A&M basketball team, they gave up so many corner threes in the first 2 games they played, and they beat 2 bad teams, but it was way closer than it should have been. They were favored by like 30 points and 35 points. Both games came close. The other teams hit like 15 and 17 threes in the game, and all came from the corners. And I asked Buzz, I'm like, Buzz, what the hell are you doing? Like, he goes, trust us. This is how we want to play defense. The numbers dictate over the course of the season. These are the shots we want them to take. They were like a top 6 defense in basketball at the end of it. And I just wasn't aware that was intentional. They were intentionally giving up shots that I viewed as, well, that's the kind of shot you're working for. And Buzz was like, It's the shot you're working for if you can create it, not if we allow you to take it, because you'll shoot it early, you won't get into your offense, the offense gets stagnant. And it turned out, I mean, they never had the postseason success that we've expected under Buzz Williams, or at least I thought they would have. But it was intentional.
So he was a flop in the end.
Well, he's still there. I mean, they made the tournament last year. They're still there. But, unless I had asked him and he said, we're specifically forcing it, I would have been like, what the hell are you doing?
See?
But
Right.
we don't know. To the point is, we don't know.
We don't know what they're doing. You may see a play in practice. You're like, what the hell happened there? We don't know what they're working on.
You're just making it up. Like
same thing by judging spring training baseball. I don't know what that pitcher's working on that day.
And when it comes to the throws, because Deshaun, according to all reports yesterday, went I think 4 of 5 or 5 of 5 or 4 of 5 in the 11-on-11 drills, threw 4 touchdowns. I was always curious if when they have the play script, because it's all scripted stuff, like they know it. Are they allowing him to go through reads? Do they say, hey, on this, we want you to try, look off the high safeties to the right and come back left, even if he's not open, just to see how that works? Like, it's scripted to that detail, G?
They know, and he knows he's not getting hit in that
Right.
situation.
No, I know, which is why I'm curious how much scripting is actually in the design play, or is it just the play that's scripted?
When we used to play, they used to, like, and it was wild because, when I was growing up, and I got to OU, and I was like, all right, first time I had been on scout team and ever, and I'm like, man. So I would be out there just running around, like making plays. I'm like, I'm jumping this route. I'm like, man, I know you didn't get the ball to him. This is play action. You tell it, you give him a tell. And they pulled me aside and was like, hey, listen, you making plays, but that's not what the other team's gonna do. They're gonna, we're game planning around what they do on film. They're showing us in our film work. So if you want to help us out, we want you to make plays, but we want you to make plays by making plays the way they are. So watch the defensive lines. So what they would do is they would give me a person to watch. I would be a defensive player. They'd be like, all right, you're going to be the best defensive player on the opposite team. You go watch the tape on him.
With that in basketball.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't come in here taking step back jumpers, and he don't take step back jumpers.
You got to play like that guy.
Play like that guy.
Yeah, right,
and so that's how scripted it is.
Right.
And a lot of times, and that's why they don't let the cameras in there. They're like, no, you're not going to watch that.
And that's why it's so silly to overanalyze. But it's a catch-22. That's why sports is so popular, and that's why we cover it. By the way, one last, before we bring in Aditi, power rankings I just looked at. I'll be curious for you guys to guess.
Say it one more time.
Where did Mike Florio rank the Browns in his power ranking?
Well,
Florio got him in the top 10.
31st.
No, he got him in the top 10. Florio then came around a little bit on the sneak tip. I think he got him at 7.
No, I'll go. Real answer. 18.
You're both wrong.
What is
12?
12. Oh, I thought you were going to go with something different
outside
outside of what we were.
I thought you was going to give us I thought it was crazy. It's 12.
Well, I thought maybe because Florio, people think he's a Browns hater, that he'd be much lower.
Well, no, like Florio, he's mastered the art of. I gotta give some takes sometimes, but sometimes I gotta be rooted in truth.
All right, Aditi Kinkhabwala, we haven't seen her in a while.
Yeah, guys, before we bring in Aditi, I want to remind all you guys that as Brown season's coming, you want to look for your Browns tickets with Game Time. You can save up to 60% off by buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater. Their all-in pricing feature makes sure there's no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view of your seats so you know exactly where you're going to be sitting in the stadium and know what you're going to be looking at. If you find a lower ticket, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference with their lowest price guaranteed, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create your account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
Aditi, where you been? You never call, you never write. Where you been?
You know what? It goes the other way. I've been waiting for all of you to call.
Hey, man,
let's see. I've been right here. I've been sitting here playing tennis. My tennis game has improved. My golf game has not. I'm hanging out, just wondering, where are my friends? Why don't they call? I mean, is my phone working? Is it working? I don't know where you've been.
That's fair.
Hey, listen.
Fair. It does go both ways.
Hey, you upper echelon.
You know, I say that to my mother all the time. Gee, I say that to my mom all the time. Every time that she says to me, why don't you call? I say, last time I checked, the phone works both ways. Have you called me?
Did I ever tell you about this story?
My mom calls me too much, honestly.
My mom blocked me.
Oh, does she? And you pick up?
Your mom blocked you.
Yeah, she didn't know. She didn't know. She kept
By
saying,
accident?
like, why don't you call? I'm like, every time I call, it goes straight to voicemail. And she goes, I don't have a missed call. I'm like, well, check that you blocked me. She accidentally blocked me.
Oh, wow. So, did she accidentally or did she?
My mom
yeah,
does
but
not
are
know
you
how to
sure
use
it's
her phone
accidental?
at all, so it had to be an accident.
Okay.
She had no idea.
Your mom's not that old. She should be able to use
She hates
her phone.
technology. My dad's really good with tech. My mom, not for her.
Man, I sent my mom right to voicemail today.
Oh my goodness, you did?
I was in
Were
the
you
middle
on the
of it.
show?
I was doing a podcast. I was doing an interview. I'm like, why's my mother calling me during the podcast? I went to voicemail, and I was going to call her on the drive into work, but I forgot, so I never called her.
Oh, no. Does your mom watch you every day on the show?
Does she watch every day? I don't think she watches every day. She watches.
I mean, but here's a
sometimes.
chance to issue a public apology and tell your mom how she feels, how you feel about
I love
her.
my mom, but she called. My mom and my sister talk like every 2 hours. It's insane.
I don't even know Bull had a sister.
Really?
Where's time for that?
I talk. My mom calls me every day.
Yeah.
I talk
Yeah.
to my mom and dad, and she'll get mad if she needs to see. If she has to FaceTime. It ain't no like she. And if I don't answer my phone, she will call my wife.
Yes.
And then my wife will automatically, no matter what I'm doing, she will hand me the phone, her phone, and be like, "Hey, your mom's calling you."
Right,
so
right.
yeah, I gotta.
Wait. Your wife doesn't want to talk to your mom though? Your wife doesn't at least make small talk? Hi, how are you? That sort of thing.
No, they're best friends. They're BFFs. They talk all the time. They conspire against me.
Yeah.
So they talk and then they say, he was trying to you didn't answer your phone call, and she says, well, maybe she doesn't want to talk to me today. She was like, no, mom, I will give you the phone.
Yeah.
And they come right over here and hand it to me.
And my mom talks to my wife more than I talk to my mom. My wife definitely talks to her more. I wouldn't say they conspire against me, but
conspire
like you did. But my wife talks to my mom more than I do. Yes.
I'm going to refrain from this conversation about mother-in-law.
We gave something, you give something.
Yeah,
that's the way this works, Aditi.
You're not tight with your mother-in-law?
We're going to have another conversation right now.
Okay.
Look, this guy, Bull is on.
I'm putting it,
Why he be doing that?
Aditi, we were talking about Mike Vrabel before you came on.
Something stay private, right? We don't want to force people into the public spotlight who haven't asked to be in the spotlight.
All right. Fair enough.
We were talking about Mike Vrabel and his impact on the Browns before you came on, Aditi. What have you heard from your sources within the Browns camp about Mike Vrabel's impact?
You know what? My buddy, our buddy Jason Lloyd, sent me a video yesterday of Jameis Winston racing Mike Vrabel. And I don't understand why a current NFL quarterback can't keep up with the linebacker. Have you seen these videos? Like, Vrabel is really he's running just as
Jameis has never been known for his speed. Has he?
I don't think so. We have the video.
I don't care. It's got to be at least. And he's a linebacker, former linebacker. And he's motoring. Are you allowed to show any videos?
Yeah, I think we got. Didi, I think we may have to disconnect and reconnect because we got a really bad connection right now.
Oh, we already did that. I'm so sorry. I apologize, guys.
I don't know. Maybe we'll straighten out. No,
you still lost me.
You guys are looking at me like I'm crazy.
Aditi, I'm gonna send you link 2. Try this one.
Yeah, we'll try link 2.
I'll send you it.
We'll try link 2 here in a second. All right, that was could that have been less smooth by all of us there?
Hey, listen,
I said let's. Usually, when you say, all right, let's try to reconnect, you usually take the guest out and not just leave them awkwardly.
Or I start talking to you like, right. I was just like this.
You know, I was just left to hang dry.
I just sent her the.
Mike sending things.
I sent her link
he's
too.
being a producer on the set.
Right.
It's tricky, but. Jameis, is he running as fastest? Is he trying to beat Vrabel?
Yeah, they do this every day. Steve, play the Vrabel VO, please.
Like that.
It's 2:04, I think.
I've never.
This is at the end of every practice. Now, Vrabel does get a little bit of a head start.
Yeah, he's got a head start.
But Vrabel's still in great shape.
Hey, listen. Yeah. Hey, Jameis Winston, he's never been.
No.
He's never been Mike Vick. He's out here getting cooked a little bit. And it looked like your boy Vrabel done lost a little weight. Vrabel done lost about 20. He had that big Tennessee eating all that good sweet dry rub down
he's
there.
moving. Let's call a spade a spade.
I would not want to get into a fight with Mike Vrabel.
Hey,
no, he's the one coach.
Yeah.
Him and Dan Campbell, the two coaches I would at least want to scrap with. And we got Aditi back. Let's see if this works.
No, and
better.
what's his name? Antonio Pierce.
Oh, I forgot about Antonio
yeah.
Pierce.
Aditi.
It's working.
Yeah, but I feel like Vrabel's in better shape than AP, don't you think? Like, I think Vrabel, he could still line up in some.
Yeah, like no, I agree. Mike Vrabel is definitely one of the most best in shape in the game. He's one of those guys. We got to get to this too. I got to ask her. We got to get her down on record. We got Justin Fields, and we got Russell Wilson. And I'm telling you, we split on it here in the studio. I feel like Justin Fields might end up being the guy at the end of the year.
They should have a real competition. I don't know why either guy would be handed a starting job. That's stupid.
Yeah, I like what Justin Fields might be able to bring to the table. Do you got a sense of what their plan is in Pittsburgh?
Well, the last time y'all asked me to talk about Russell Wilson and what I'd been told about his
Oh,
time in
Lord.
Denver and where he fit in here, I got in loads and loads of trouble. Everything I said was taken grossly out of context and turned into a whole. All we can say is that Russell Wilson hasn't practiced for a few days, or hadn't practiced for the first few days because of a calf injury he woke up with. Justin Fields apparently had greater opportunity, but Mike Tomlin is not on record having said anything has changed since he said Russell Wilson was in pole position to start.
But is it? Do you believe it's a real competition?
How about we leave it?
Aditi, do you think it's a real
No,
competition?
not at the moment.
Why wouldn't it be?
No, not at the moment.
I don't understand why it wouldn't.
I mean, why wouldn't it have been a real competition with Kenny Pickett? I don't understand why Russell Wilson wasn't getting a promise from any other team in the National Football League way back in March or whenever this was that he would be the guaranteed starter. The Steelers were willing to tell Russell Wilson, yes, starter, so he signed with the Steelers for the veteran minimum or the little bit of money that it was.
Yeah, I
comparatively speaking, relatively speaking. So just decided then, okay, you duke it out with Kenny Pickett. They had said to Kenny, yes, you were in the single most no real game.
Aditi,
This was
we got
not
a terrible
an NFL
connection, so unfortunately we're gonna have to cut it. I think, unfortunately. All right.
That's a bummer. I miss Aditi.
Yeah. I know. Her connection was terrible. I don't know.
We were getting like every
we don't
other word there.
People are complaining, and we can't just, you know.
But
We'll try to get Aditi on tomorrow.
I don't understand. Like, why would they promise Russell Wilson anything? And by the way, like, Russell Wilson may be the better quarterback, but why wouldn't you decide in camp?
Because
Justin Fields at least has upside. I don't know.
And they only got a year to look at Justin Fields, right?
Both of them. They're both only signed for this year.
So it would be a fluid situation. I would say, hey, these guys are going to compete.
Yeah.
Whoever's the best man comes out, and then like if one of them wins, it's a win-win situation because you can always bring the other guy in.
The Steelers are always playing to win now, which you got to respect about that organization. So if you're playing to win now, yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson's the more accomplished player, certainly. But if everything they see and everything, like if they go through camp and they feel like Justin Fields gives them a better chance to win, they have to start him, don't they? I don't know that that'll be the case necessarily, but they have to start him. That would be crazy not to. Because they made a promise to Russell Wilson. That's stupid.
For us, I'm going to say this. And I just thought about this as we were just sitting there thinking.
Yeah.
I can make the case that, you know, they talk about the Browns having a question mark. I can make the case that every single AFC North team has a question mark to a certain degree.
At quarterback or just in general?
I don't agree with that.
What I'm saying at quarterback, right? So I'm not saying that there's overarching. My thing is if you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, right, and you're watching Lamar Jackson, the question that is outstanding is he good enough to get you where you want to go? The question is he a Super Bowl winning quarterback?
Well, yeah, that's a fair question, but there's no question that he's good enough in the regular season.
But at that point, we've seen, as a fan base, sometimes you move beyond the regular season.
I agree, but just because there's questions,
yes,
there's levels to the questions.
There's levels to the questions. Yeah. There are more questions about Watson and the Steelers than there are about Burrow and Jackson. Yes, with Burrow, he's been injury prone. That's fair. He's been injury prone. He's had a lot of weird injuries, but he's had injuries. And there's been 2 of his 4 seasons. He hasn't been able to finish the year. That's a fair question. There's no question about him, will he play well if he's healthy?
Let me ask
There's
you,
no question about him, can he get you to the Super Bowl?
Right, he's shown that.
Lamar Jackson, if he's healthy in the regular season, you know he's going to play well.
MVP candidate. Yeah.
He's won 2 MVPs.
So my thing,
there's a lot more questions about the other guys.
But when you start getting, so here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
When you start getting in the top 5 quarterbacks, your questions become overarching questions, right?
Are you Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Okay, you're Patrick. If the answer is no.
No, you're Josh Allen. Can Josh Allen continue to play that way and be a quarterback who runs the ball, throws the ball, and does he turn the ball over too much? Tua, we know you're nice. We gave you some money, but you play in warm weather city. Can you go to the playoffs? And
outside of Mahomes and Burrow, you're asking, can you win when it matters to every other quarterback right now?
Yeah.
I mean, because nobody else has even gotten to an AFC. Oh, the Bills got to 1 AFC championship game, right?
Bills got to, that's the 13 seconds.
Right. You know, I think personally Josh Allen's been over-criticized.
And Lamar's got to the AFC championship.
Right. But Josh Allen
has played very well in the playoffs.
Lamar's been more to blame for the Ravens losing than Josh Allen has been.
Correct.
Josh Allen's played well in the playoffs. Lamar, for the most part, has been bad in the playoffs. Now, the Ravens had a terrible game plan in that game last year. But for the most part, Josh Allen's been very good in the playoffs, and they've lost because they've gotten outslugged. Whereas Lamar's played badly in the playoffs.
I think
that's been the difference in the playoffs.
I think, so, to me, like, I don't. Sometimes I think we do our fans a disservice because we do boil it down to quarterback play. So we reduce the entire game, like you just mentioned, game plan. That game plan that they had last year was trash.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that has to be a part of it. And then there's another part of it. The Ravens' defense was top notch. They imploded on a lot of plays. They had,
and that's going to happen against the Chiefs.
Well, they only gave up. Didn't they lose 14-7?
They lose 14-7. They had some
early. I think the Chiefs scored their first 2 possessions, and then the Ravens played better. But
they had some penalties. They had some flags, some 15 yards.
They were certainly.
But
the
here's
fault,
the thing.
100%.
Obviously, there's other things that matter. But when you look at the best teams, and we're comparing the Browns to the best teams because that's the goal, right? Mm-hmm. When you're looking at the best teams, they all have a lot of talent. You know, so it's when you have a bunch of teams that all have a lot of talent. Okay, who's got the best quarterback? That team's usually going to win. Not always, but usually when most of the teams have a lot of talent. Yeah, if you're the Patriots and they don't have a quarterback either. But I guess in theory, if you put Patrick Mahomes on the Patriots, they'd be better, but they probably wouldn't be as good as. I don't know. How good would they be? They're the worst team. The Patriots and the Broncos. The Patriots are probably the worst team in football, right?
Let's go with the Patriots. They have no weapons.
Would they be? Are they an 8-win team with Patrick Mahomes? I mean,
but what do the Broncos have that the rookie quarterback's going to do anything with? They have.
But they have actual. Cortland Sutton's better than anyone that. Javonte Williams.
They don't have a quarterback to get him the ball.
No, I'm saying if you put Mahomes on either New England or Denver. Javonte Williams is better than anyone.
Here's the thing. I got one of the guys that produces my podcast. His name is Max. Good dude. Shout out to Max. He's from New Orleans. He's a big Saints fan, right? And he's young, so he didn't the
Drew
Saints
Brees
used to suck back in the day.
Before
all he knows is Drew Brees.
Yeah.
So he's used to having a great. And I'm like, "Are you excited about the football season?" He's like, "No." Because their quarterback's Derek Carr.
Yeah.
They got no shot.
Yeah.
Even if let's say that the NFC South stinks, right?
Yeah.
Let's say they win the division. Even if they win the division, what are they doing? They're
no
not winning the playoffs.
Yeah, no chance.
With Derek Carr as their quarterback?
I will say this. I think this year, and I'm waiting for this to happen a little bit. I think if you do get really good quarterback play, I think one of the natural progressions that people will pivot to will say, well, look at the infrastructure he has. Because I think they'll say they made a change at offensive coordinator and they run a more
You're talking about the Browns?
Yeah, they run a modern playbook. Their offensive line is probably a top 5 line. They have a top 3 defense, so they're able to do certain things. They're really good on special teams. They have a great running game. So I think, like, for once, the Browns might have so much talent at different places that you may say, well, Deshaun is playing well. However, is it a product of the people around him, or is it a product of what he's doing?
That's where the eye test comes in, G. And there's no way to delineate
right
until you see it. And that goes back to the Deshaun thing from earlier.
And that's why people are being disingenuous, because the eye test, he has not passed the eye test as a Cleveland Brown.
No, well,
not at all.
Here's the thing too. I don't think the eye test that he has for himself. I don't think he's passed that. He said it.
He said it. He said it his
himself.
own mouth. He said he hasn't played up to the level he needs to play at.
Of course. So why would you argue that he has when he's telling you he has?
And moving forward, that's. And so, to me, the fascinating thing is the great experiment. Because it's not only the unknown for Watson, it's an unknown for a lot of things. I don't know what this mix of Stefanski Dorsey looks like. I've been told that it has more college aspects to it. I haven't seen what it's going to look like with Nick Chubb. He's come back. Is he 96% Nick Chubb or 100? I don't know Jerry Jeudy.
Mary Kay seemed skeptical. I spoke to her for my podcast. We were having technical difficulties, kind of like Aditi too, but she seemed a little skeptical. As great as he's looked, that he'll be ready for week 1. And you know what?
Chubb?
Yeah. The bottom line is, listen, Nick Chubb is the warrior of warriors. And yeah, in a perfect world, we'd love to see him win week.
You need a week 10, 11,
The Browns have
12,
to be smart about this.
Yeah.
They're not winning a Super Bowl in September.
No.
Right.
There's no reason to rush him back.
It would almost. I'm gonna just be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's almost a no. It's a no-win playing Nick Chubb week 1. You know why?
Yeah.
Because if Nick Chubb comes out week 1, and Lord forbid he gets hurt.
Oh,
I don't even say that.
Stop, I don't even
I don't even say that.
Don't even want to think about it.
Or not even gets hurt. It's a little bit of a setback where he has to go chill out for a little bit. I think the Deshaun Watson situation last year.
His legs.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous.
Hey, that's kind of pause.
Yeah, it was. But
that was crazy. Look at his. You laughed and everything too.
got sexy legs, that Nick Chubb.
like-
Look at those legs. That's ridiculous.
And he's had that cut on 3 or 4.
He looks even bigger. Doesn't he look even bigger?
Yeah.
Like not in a like fat way.
Dang,
I mean,
that's
like,
2
he
in a
looks
row,
strong.
Bull. That's 2 in a row.
Hello.
Hey, Bull likes his pitchers with a fat ass and
That's
his
right.
running backs with sexy legs.
Yeah, that's right. I keep it real.
But listen, if he comes out and anything happens, the Browns are going to get eviscerated.
Crucified.
They're going to call them a dumpster fire. They rushed him back out to save Deshaun Watson.
Fair or not,
they
they
were
will.
trying.
Right.
The quarterback wasn't ready, so you had to bring Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson will get some blame
He'll
for that.
get blamed.
Yeah. and for the record, if Chubb comes back week 1 and gets hurt, God forbid,
Yeah.
it is by no means Deshaun's fault.
Yeah,
And it's
right.
going to get
But
you
he'll
right.
get some
He's
blame.
going to get. It is
He'll get
a
residual
$1,000,000% not Deshaun's fault.
There's part of me that doesn't want him to play
No.
week 1, right? and you know what? Jerome Ford, for all the criticism, and remember, nobody was
talked about
trying
him
to.
yesterday.
The problem is it's like comparing. By the way, I don't think I was on since this happened, but
He had a baby.
Yeah, he did.
who?
Jerome Ford.
Oh no. But I totally forgot about this until just now because I was going to mention Jedrick Wills. I can't remember if I said this in the last show I was here, but I interviewed Greg Cosell right before I left on vacation, and
I saw that episode. Good episode.
he called Jedrick Wills. At first, he said a top 5 offensive left tackle, and then he backed off and he said, I got to think about it a little more. But he's definitely top 10 from watching the film.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe. And I've been as critical of him as anybody. All right. But how can I argue when it comes to the film? Nobody knows the film better than Greg Cosell. I'm not watching offensive line film. And what I thought to myself is, have I been overly critical because the comparison is Joe Thomas? And maybe the same thing. Jerome Ford wasn't great last year, but we're comparing him to Nick Chubb because that's what we're used to watching. Jerome Ford was. If you the point is, if you got to go with Deontay Foreman and Jerome Ford,
You can live for a week.
That's
or two.
adequate.
Yeah.
That's fine.
McNuggets had a crazy stat. I didn't even know it.
We talked about this. Jerome Ford yesterday, what his role would be. Could be a home run hitter,
yeah.
but he dances behind the line. He doesn't hit the hole the same way Nick Chubb was. This was from November of last year. I couldn't find the final statistic.
Yeah.
He averaged like 3.21 seconds or 3.18 seconds. I forget the exact number of time behind the line of scrimmage last season before passing whatever line. And that was the slowest time in football.
Yeah, that's his problem.
And that's what led to having so many tackles for losses and negative plays was then puts him behind the chain. So, but if you combine him and
Deontay Foreman is a poor man's Nick Chubb.
But he said he has the second most receiving touchdowns behind Christian McCaffrey last year.
His 5 receiving touchdowns, second behind McCaffrey.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I'll be curious to see.
I already know that.
If it's Foreman, and we'll wrap it with this because I know we got super chats. If it's Foreman and Jerome Ford, Foreman and Ford to start the season, do they use them as? I think they should use them as Foreman is like the running down back. Not you're never going to do it exactly.
And then Ford's your third down back.
And Ford's your passing down back, which you got to be a little careful with because you don't want to be predictable. As opposed to we use Ford for 2 series and then we use Foreman for that. Because
mix and match.
Foreman is not a pass catching guy at all.
No.
His style is obviously not even close to as good as Nick Chubb, but he's stylistically like Nick Chubb.
Dollar General Nick Chubb.
If they gave him enough carries, he get you 1,000.
Yeah, right. On a lot of carries.
Give him enough carries.
But he'll grind out those yards for you.
He had a really good couple-week stretch in Carolina 2 years ago. Where
he is an adequate back. You know how, remember Leroy Horde, and we talked about it with him on the show? He's famous for, you need 1 yard, I'll get you 3 yards. You need 4 yards, I'll get you 3 yards.
Yeah. Shout out to Leroy. When he coming back? We got to get him. What's up,
hopefully he's got a better connection than Aditi.
Next month, all our regulars start coming back.
All right, Anthony, on that note, what do you got with Super Chats?
All right, guys, I got 2 Super Chats for us. The first one comes from Young Ackman. I don't expect the Dolans to make big moves, but it is BS when Kansas City got some pieces while giving us very little. We could have used DeJong and Lorenzen.
Lorenzen was an all-star
Wait
last
a second.
year.
Kansas City got pieces, so did the Guardians. What are you talking about?
I'm just reading the Super Chat. I don't know what they're talking about.
Who else did they get besides Lorenzen? Did he write?
DeJong?
Oh, DeYoung.
DeYoung, sorry.
DeYoung.
Jason was
first of all,
Jason was campaigning for DeYoung.
I would have been fine with DeYoung. I know a lot of people don't like him. Zach's not high on him. He's not a good defensive shortstop. His OPS is not very good. I know he's got decent home run numbers. Lane Thomas is a better player than Paul DeYoung. And Alex Cobb, if healthy, is definitely a better pitcher than Michael Lorenzen. I know he is not healthy, or he's just, he hasn't been. But that's that comment shows a lack of understanding of baseball.
And my lack of understanding means Bazana, we need to see him immediately. Let's get him together.
What did he do last night in Lake County? I didn't get a chance.
It got rained out.
We need to do a tracker of Bazana stats and put them at the bottom.
Yeah, we need that. Go ahead, Anthony. What else you got?
The next one is from our friend Ahmed. He says, man, welcome back, Raging Bull.
Thank you, Ahmed.
That's all we have for today.
I appreciate that. I don't know that I was raging all that much.
He was raging,
a little
man.
bit, but
he was upset, man.
I was pretty fired up.
The Deshaun stuff always gets
he was
a
raging.
good reaction.
He was raging, man.
Because what pisses me off is I don't really get this that often because most people understand. Like, I want Deshaun Watson to do well. This idea that I have an agenda against him is ridiculous. I was excited when they got him. And I don't think people are saying that. But this idea that if you criticize anything Watson's done, you're a hater is stupid. You got to be fair about it. And I think I've been completely fair on Deshaun Watson. And to me, to argue that he's played well to this point is disingenuous. And to argue that he has no chance to play well going forward is also disingenuous because, as G said, it's not enough of a sample size. Now, that's part of the problem. He's got to be healthy.
Yeah.
He's got to be healthy. Same thing I'd say if I were working in Cincinnati. I'd say the same thing. Love Joe Burrow. Great. He's got to stay healthy. Got to be on the field.
Hey, listen, I told him, man, one thing that is not going to be disingenuous is the fact that when it happens, unfollow me on Twitter. I'm telling you that right now. Can you imagine? I got memes and stuff. By the way.
Dude, what if he throws for like 4,483 yards? Like he's just shy of 45. Do you still take your victory lap or do you have to?
How many touchdowns?
If the touchdowns is crazy.
What's the touchdown number you're asking for?
Hey, listen, I want him to be like 35 and above.
I mean, no. Did anybody throw 35 last year?
I want to be 35.
I think one person. So he gets 33 and 44.
If he gets 33 and 4 on the ground, victory lap.
If he gets, Yeah, that's more than enough.
Like,
I'm just asking from G because G's calling for these very specific
I
numbers.
want
If he
specific.
throws 28 touchdowns
Hey,
and has 4,300 yards, you can still talk.
by the
about
way,
that, I think.
there's also victory laps being made on behalf of Jerry Jeudy. I just signed a deal with him for the victory laps and his bonuses too.
really?
If Jerry Jeudy gets 1,100 yards, victory laps
Victory laps
everywhere, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Can we rewind the tape?
Does he need a touchdown number 2?
Nah,
Dak
that's tough.
Prescott was the only person who threw for 35 touchdowns.
I would like to have him have above 5.
And yet a lot of Cowboy fans hate Dak Prescott.
Above 5.
Led the NFL in passing touchdowns last year and was third in yards.
But like we said, man, one thing you can't miss, G. Bush, Nocturnal, right here, man. If you want to holler at your boy, G. Bush 91, if you're interested, it's beautiful. This is why they're going to put me in the Hall of Fame. I'm the only sports talk dude with my own cologne fragrance, clothing line, all the above. I'm in the Hall of Fame. I'm a walking Hall of Famer. Shout out to the Kool-Aid Mafia. Towels is on the way. Stop playing around. The season is coming. Get yours today. And I still got a panda suit.
See you in
See you in
overtime.
overtime.
Peace.